Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Gilmore blocked but fouled by Martinelli. And now a little talking going on between the two afterwards. The Wisconsin coaches trying to keep everybody on the bench. Barry tracks it down. Oh, yes, and he gets swatted away by Crowell. A technical on Crowell. Oh, and there he is. He's just been ejected. Such a mistake. The second technical has been assessed to Fran McCaffrey, and he's just been ejected from this ball game.
This is a 9-point game. This is still winnable for Iowa.
The steal.
Takes it in for two. What a finish, flat-footed. Mitchell looking right at D-Wade, says this is what we do. Marquette within two. Timeout, Sean Miller and Xavier.
And here's Faulkner. On the inbound. From the out of bounds. Goodness. Damon kicks it. Reversal. Rivera. D'Amico. Shoot it. Ooh, they're not playing Ashford. Ashford. What a cut to get free. This kid's got ice water. Back and forth they go. 76-75. Neal running the point a little more. Nice entry. Off Brenner. Draws the crowd. Good play. Right away. McAndrew acknowledges. And a steal. McAndrew to Davis. Nice look. Neal and a two-hand flush.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing all right.
Doing all right.
Had some exciting basketball going on yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of
Strange.
Yeah, this is
games.
going to be wild.
Some strange games.
I mean, I guess this kind of start. This is kind of what conference tournaments do. But man, it's wild out here.
we're out here, right?
It's where the magic happens.
You know, I have this theory, and it doesn't always play out, but I have this theory that sometimes the results in conference tournaments are a little bit more chaotic than they are in the NCAA tournament, just because of the familiarity, and it's usually a third time you're playing a team.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that gets things pretty wacky in a hurry.
Well, end of the game situations have been crazy in these flurries, right? I mean, I don't know who stayed up for Kentucky, Oklahoma, but if you did, it was an absolute gem. Kentucky did all they could to not win that game.
We saw a lot of that, a lot of doing all he could not to win games.
I mean, you saw Creighton, DePaul.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Outside of fatigue, I think you're going to be all right. That's just kind of who you guys are going to be.
Not getting down by 17 to DePaul.
No, I understand that, but
I mean, there is a lot of the things that plagued Creighton are what showed up yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you mean.
I mean,
but getting down 17 to DePaul is a whole other thing.
The inability to get stops usually doesn't happen, but DePaul made shots.
That's the thing, is DePaul made a lot of, after they got confident, they made a lot of like, what the F shots.
Yeah, they made some shots.
Including that one from behind the backboard.
Well, that was like a slider.
Yeah, he had to put a draw on it to make sure his drive hit the fairway.
Thought he was at Point Verde down there in Florida. Play-on player. That thing got suspended, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's tough out here. It is tough. We got some doozies today, though.
We got some buzzer beaters with local kids and kids playing nationally that are local originally. Chucky Hepburn gets a buzzer beater for the Ville.
How many times, Shane, in the last 7 years have I said, man, dude's just a winner?
Lot. Did you watch him before the shot?
Yeah.
So he's just kind of standing there.
Yeah. He wanted it originally off the screen, and then he kind of just watched the action.
Yeah, at the elbow. He just is kind of standing there, and the ball just falls right to him.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he did not look ready.
No.
And he still got that thing up and got the game winner.
He is not that he hasn't done that. I did not know that Iowa State was not going to have both their backcourt tandem, which is tough. Still almost found a way to win that one, but BYU is on a heater.
Yeah, BYU's killing it.
Right, and I'm telling you, they're built for this. That they will be now. They're going to probably be at 5-6 now.
Yeah.
And get off that 9-8 7 line, but that's a good basketball team.
Is Oklahoma in?
I don't know.
Last night probably would have done it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now
I don't know. I don't know. Xavier in?
I don't think so. So
I mean, it's going to be one of those two.
The problem with Xavier that I think the committee's going to have a real hard time with is that quad 1 record.
Yeah.
That's going to kill him.
How about the flurry from Northwestern to get that thing?
Man.
And then, I know they got into the fight. I didn't get what the hubbub was in SC Purdue either, but.
Yeah, I wasn't really. So
I'm waiting to see what Painter's secret announcement is.
He's going to Indiana.
Nah, I don't know why you would, but.
I don't either. You hear that, Coach Mack? I don't know why you would.
No, I wouldn't. If I was Matt Painter, I wouldn't go to Indiana.
You hear me, Mac? I don't know why you would.
Matt, I mean.
Because apparently that's out there now.
Yeah. Well, my buddy was asking me what he would look like in Carolina.
Man, that's.
Oh, I mean, some things you just got to deal with. I mean.
I know. It's the cost of being good.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the cost of being Coach Mack. People will float things.
I do wonder.
All the time.
Like, we kind of forget, and maybe it's changed, right? Maybe
Ole Miss tried to lose too, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of teams are trying to lose.
I don't know. Late game situations appear to be a struggle.
Yeah, and I know this sounds kind of obvious.
San Diego State wet the bed. There's a lot going on.
Teams don't practice those the amount they should.
I don't know,
Not
man.
the amount they should.
I don't know if they do or not, but some of the plays look pretty sweet. But situationally, I don't know if you're repping like when to call a timeout, when you want to. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
So a lot of teams will do, because there's different ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of teams will do, hey, we got 8 seconds left. What play are we running? Or those types of things. There's not as many teams, at least to the extent that I think is probably necessary. And it's a time restriction thing, right? But there's not a lot of teams that will say, hey, we got 4 minutes on the clock. You're down 7. Let's play this out. And then you kind of teach guys when to foul, when to get timeouts, and that type of thing, right? Because the way you see this happen, and I know we had this whole thing of like, who was it that fouled with 12 seconds left 2 days ago? It was a Big East team, I think.
It was DePaul Georgetown.
Yeah, it was DePaul Georgetown, right? They fouled with like 12 seconds left, and you're like, well, you're supposed to foul up 3, but not with 12 seconds left. There's those situations, or we talked about this, missing the free throw and all that kind of stuff. That stuff, if you haven't repped that a ton, is actually really difficult to execute. And I don't know that we necessarily appreciate that, and I don't know that coaches rep those like long form end game scenarios as much as they probably need to.
Yeah, I could see a lot of. I know coaches will do like 2 minutes on the clock, down 4 and simulate whatever happens. But I just sometimes it's the coaches themselves. It's not just the players.
Oh, 100%. They get kind of out over their skis too.
I think it's from where we sit, we're always like, oh man, should have called a time. I mean, we did this with in-game situations with like Coach Rule, and we saw it across the country in late-game situations. We've gone through it ad nauseum with Andy Reid until you got a good quarterback, and what this coach did late. We act as though it should be pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it seems like more guys get it wrong than right. So I don't know how easy it is at all.
Yeah, I do think we kind of underestimate the number of variables that are happening real time. And how that kind of impacts decision-making, right? The other thing that I have, like part of it is just execution, right? Like that's the Pius game last night, right? If that pass, there was a lot that
You're talking about the initial and the save?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot that happens before that, right? But even if you're talking about a couple things, if that pass before he has to save it is just like a foot closer in bounds, we're not having this conversation.
Yeah. Or they make free throws.
Yeah, or they make free throws down the stretch, right? But I understand. I don't want to excuse it. I understand guys missing free throws down the stretch. There's a lot of pressure.
I understand.
Like I get it, right? But if you're like, hey, if we just make that pass 6 inches further, a foot further in bounds, we're not having this conversation. You don't have an opportunity for and also, how often does somebody make a 3/4 court shot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, not often.
Like this is
Now that definitely looked like he'd practiced that.
that one looked like he'd had that down a little bit.
Okay, another winning genes in that family.
Yeah.
With Bosiger, and when we'll talk about this with Sautter at the 9:00 hour. Norris isn't going anywhere either. So
yeah.
That's a good young group. And now they're just used to winning. I mean, their programs win.
Yeah.
So they're going on a nice little run. Still wasn't as competitive as I would have liked yesterday.
Sure.
We're kind of on 2 days of that. I mean, you got the huge upset with Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess maybe that's what happens in the early rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can sometimes when you've got some of the teams with larger gaps in between them.
Yeah, and it's hard too with the scheduling. A lot of those teams don't see each other, so
Yeah.
you may see a team that's, I don't know, 22-4 or something like that, and you're still not sure.
Sure.
Really what they bring to the table, but the two early ones in A today should be pretty good.
Yeah, I think A on Wednesday was more disappointing for me in terms of the lack of close games because of how wide open we felt like that could be.
Yeah.
In general, it sort of makes sense to me at state or, whether we're talking NCAA tournament, conference tournaments, the early rounds make sense to me that they're not always going to be super close. But for how we talked about A coming in, I was a little disappointed. Hopefully that starts to shore up today.
Yeah.
And get a little bit more competitive.
And you guys go first.
Yeah.
That's the one. I think it's 115.
Yeah.
Is it 1 or 115?
I think 115.
So, I don't know. Did you like it going to being reviewed?
Which one?
The half court, the quarter, three-quarter.
I mean, sure. I guess you want to make sure.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Is this setting a record for the earliest call into the show?
Is this AJ?
Is this AJ?
This is, yes.
Oh, well,
he's got an interesting perspective.
All right, let's go to AJ, and shouldn't he be on his way to Lincoln? He might have camped
You would
out.
think.
I don't know.
He might have slept in the press room. Austin, what's going on, bud?
Oh, hey, Ravi.
What's up?
First and foremost, I saw you tweeting about the greats of Omaha basketball yesterday. So Chucky hitting that, he must be a Millard North guy with how his basketball powers came up, right?
No, listen.
From the Temple of Millard North.
We love all Omaha.
Oh man, Millard North guy showing the Bellevue Westian some love.
I'll say this: I cooked up a new conspiracy because you guys know me. I am just here for ultimate pain when it comes to Ravi's fandom, and I have cooked up a new conspiracy. I'm ready for this.
What do you got?
I was thinking about it last night. I think I'm rooting hard for Millard North today. I really think they can get it going, and then Creighton gets a win today. Because, the ultimate victory for me would just be to watch, Millard North fall to Damon's West Side after Husker just went down to North Carolina. I think a twofer this week would be great.
Oh, Lord.
I see, Austin, I don't know what I did to you. I'm so nice to you.
And it's usually me. I'm glad you're an equal opportunity offender, man. It's just it just come by it honestly. What time are you heading back down? Or are you en route?
Oh, I am walking the dog right now, so if I were to walk with the dog, it'd be a while. But once we get wrapped up with this walk, we're going to be heading out here soon. So, just trying to make sure that we are getting all the coverage we can. And that's why I heard you guys talking about Barrett's shot, obviously. So I just wanted to give a shout-out to, obviously, all the people that were on the floor for us at Hurrdat, just getting all that NED prep stuff out. We had 6 or 7 cameras.
Dude, it was fantastic.
Nuts.
There were
And
like
then,
4 where you could see the light and the horn and the shot. Like, it was sensational.
And he even had JP holding a phone camera, and you know how technology advanced that guy is. So it could be real.
Yeah, he's a regular DB. Well, we lost him in the group text for a while, so I knew he was pretty busy. Who did you guys?
Let you guys know.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to let you guys know. So my side of the story, unfortunately, history happened behind me because I was assigned to the Lincoln Pius student section.
Oh, Lord.
So I'm watching them the whole time. I've got a camera video of just the Pius student section watching the play, and I hear the turnover. I turn around, and I don't even see the ball going because I'm right behind the backboard. So everyone else in this arena, I've been getting texts, like 100 texts since that happened about like, oh, that had to be so sick. That was like the coolest shot ever. Nope, didn't see it. Have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry.
That's all right. You could catch it on Sports Center.
Hey, I
Yeah,
do
dude.
have a question for you. What do you think happens with Norris and Scott tomorrow or tonight?
Yeah, tonight. That is an excellent question. Scott did the exact opposite of what the Norris game was. And
Yeah,
in
that
fact,
was a snoozer.
You know, I've been grabbing a lot of these interviews post game and stuff, and we couldn't find the Scott coaching staff for a while because
Jerky's out. He's probably back. He might have been back at Pisons.
And they might have been talking to Pius about how they limited Bosinger to only 3 shots. I mean, that was the craziest part. He had no points and 1 shot attempt going into that last 80-foot heat. And then he makes the biggest 3 points of the day, of his life, of the game, of all that. And so you have to wonder, like, what different implementation you can get in 24 hours. But Scott's size is impressive. I mean, they just dominated DC West from the get-go.
Yeah, Scholl's a stud. He's a stud.
And then you go with Norris, too, and just some of that guard play and the way that they were able to move around. The only worry I would have in it's going to come down to both team strengths. Like if one falters even a little bit or slips and they have some sort of game plan set up for either side that, you know, keeps them off the game, whether it's like the speed and athleticism of Norris or the size of Scott, I think that will be the difference maker. But if I had to like lean one way, I have to think, you know, you always go with size in the tournament just because it's closer and you can get inside and you can use that and bully your way around. I don't know. It could come down to how the game's officiated. I think there's a lot of little factors in this one. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it turns out.
I'll give you another one too because I'm very familiar with Ogallala and Coach.
I'm not taking Sydney questions at this time. I don't know if you saw that, but I'm not taking Sydney questions.
Yeah, and Coach Gillen and saw what Donovan Trumbull did to them. But I think Concordia is pretty good. That 10:45 in C1 should be a banger.
Yeah, it should, and it's unfortunate that Ogallala was out Sawyer Smith. He got a bum ankle the day before, and so I found that out just about 10 minutes before the tip off in that one at the Bob on Wednesday. So that was pretty disappointing to see. But
I thought when they cut it to 2 at the half, they got it to like 36-34 after trailing that whole way. And then they cut it to like 4 late. I mean, the score was a little misleading, but it was an uphill battle for Ogallala from the jump.
Yeah, and then they lost their other leading scorer, I'm pretty sure, like somewhere in the middle of that third or something like that. And then they still fought within 2. I have been impressed from afar by Donovan Trumbull because they've done this for a while. They are like an anaconda. They will slowly wrap you up and squeeze you out, think that you have a little bit of wiggle room to like get out of a bad situation. And then they'll win by 2 or 3 at the end of the game. And you look back and you're like, oh, man, what happened? They did it to Garrett Johnson and Holdridge, one of our C1 NEB Preps players of the year in their district final at Holdridge in the Duster Dome. They did it to Ogallala without Sawyer Smith, but credit where credit is due. And they only did it with 4 scores. And that's, to me, you can look at that in different ways, but to me, that's pretty impressive that you were kind of shut down offensively. You still got 18 points from one kid, and you were still able to get a win in the first round of the state tournament in a very, very talented and deep C1. I think Donovan Trumbull's one to watch, and especially with Concordia. I didn't think that Sydney was going to put up as much of a fight as they did. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see DT in the state championship.
All right, I'll get you out of here on this. Let's go back to A with West Side and Southeast. Little bit of history there. They played a year ago. That was no love lost in that one. You've seen West Side multiple times. Nagoya for Southeast has been fantastic, right? Stepping into his own role. Let's take that one first. What do you think happens there at 3:15?
Well, you and I have talked about it before, but the best version of West Side, they win Class A. And they are uber talented. You can see it with your own eyes. You don't have to be a basketball savant like Ravi to understand that. But when you look at it the opposite way, too, there are sometimes that – no, I just gave him a compliment. That's not shots fired. Shots fired. Some people are better at basketball than me. I didn't know. I didn't know. First time I met Ravi, I wasn't like basketball guy, but I've learned. I've overcome. Anyway.
So how do you explain me chewing him up and spitting him out in basketball talk every single day?
Well, I don't know. It's the same way that North Carolina came back from that first quarter deficit and found their way back into that.
There's the shot. There's equal opportunity.
But anyway, West Side, and I know you guys have talked to Sautter, who's obviously a little more plugged in with a lot of these Class A programs too, but West Side, I think it just comes down to their temperament, right? Like sometimes they will get on a run, and they are tough to stop. They're flaming hot and scorching, and it's scorched earth behind them. They're leaving like the Hot Wheels rubber tracks behind them. But then you look at the opposite side, and when they get cold, it gets rough.
It's bad.
They'll have turnovers, but you've seen this too, DB, and we watched that in that Millard North game. That was our big game chain back in, end of December or so.
Mm-hmm.
They, even with all the mistakes and missed shots, they somehow can keep it just within reach, that they're right there at the end. And Westside is a very dangerous and athletic team to have always hanging around. You don't want them to be able to get that last shot. So if Mike goes off for Southeast and has a game like they had, I don't doubt that Southeast could win it, but they can't win it the same way that they did.
They got to control tempo,
where you're missing free throws. Yeah, you got to make a field goal in the fourth quarter. I mean, that you cannot let Westside take advantage of your scoring drought if you are just getting to the line, because they're going to eat you alive in that last minute situation.
All right, let's talk the other half of the bracket with Papiola Vista South and Millard North. I still maintain that Millard North has the best roster when they're humming, but I don't know, man. Papio South, Coach Heiser's been here before. He understands what's at stake. What do you think happens?
Well, I've said it before, and I think I've said it to both of you guys too. Coming into February, I said it pretty firmly and pretty loudly. If I were to take a team to win 3 games in March, I was picking Millard North.
Yeah. That's right. You told me that.
Yeah. I feel very firm about that. But the thing is you get nervous because in a 1-game sample, Papio South is very good, and the way that they were able to adjust at halftime against Papillion La Vista, the Monarchs threw everything at them, give them all the size inside. Bryson still had himself a pretty good game, but Levi was a little bit quieter.
Yeah, they got some help inside. Herrera helped. They got some help.
Yeah, absolutely. And Herrera had himself a tremendous day too. I mean, he was just overshadowed because Bryson played such a amazing game that day too.
He played hard. He played really hard.
I think if we go back like 3 years from now and we look back at this year's state tournament, and we're talking to ourselves about like, oh, well, we saw this team make a run or this team make a run, and we were surprised by this team, I think we would all be kicking ourselves in the back saying, why didn't we think Millard North was going to get through 3 straight games and win a state tournament title?
Okay.
I think right now you just kind of have to look at it and you say, okay, big game, big matchup. Papio South is going to be pretty motivated, all that, everything else that comes into this. But then you look at the opposite side and you're like, man, Millard North all year round. And Ravi, I know you said it yesterday too. There's a reason they were the preseason #1 team and they looked that way in their first game. If they come out looking like that again, I don't know if anyone can beat them.
Yeah, I think the X factor is can Kircher. They're going to put a ton of pressure on him. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to get the ball out of Reese's hands. If he takes care of the basketball and makes good decisions, they'll be in that thing. I mean, I get it. Ball's the phenom, but Kircher's the guy that's got to help them with pace, because they're going to get after him like they got after Garcia and get underneath him and guard him and try to push him away from the basket to start that offense at like 35 feet. Hopefully he took his vitamin D and C and everything else in his B12, because I think they're going to come at him pretty hard.
Yeah, no kidding, for sure. And I can't disagree with you that way too. And, you hate to – it always comes down to the athletes on the floor and everything too. But you love to see some of these coaching matchups that are coming up here in the semifinals. I mean, there's going to be some tremendous chess matches, some gameplay. I'm really looking forward to it. I almost wish that you could just watch it from above PBA's scoreboard, right above the top. So you just watch to see how the coaches are dissecting everything. But implementation is another thing, and you guys know this too, that when you only have 24 hours to turn around and come up with a game plan, that can sometimes be the toughest test.
All right, man. Appreciate it, AJ. That's a quick little rundown. Hopefully the dogs are back inside, or the dog is back inside.
They are, yes.
We just got back, so I just, I know Ravi didn't have a lot to say to me because he's mad, but that's okay. I'll talk to him on
He
Monday.
he is pretty straight-faced right now, but when you hang up, we're going to talk about his Mustang, so he'll be engaged again.
All right, perfect. If I do hear any Sydney slander, I will be calling back, and I will make my full comment on it. So just an FYI.
Hey, my daughter's principal is from out in Sydney, too, so we were just talking about Sydney. We were just talking about her going back out there and traveling when they were transitioning and just making a quick little 5-hour jaunt to go see the kiddos' sports events back and forth. I was like, yeah, I love you, but I don't know if I love you that much.
Exactly. And I don't want to get too far away. I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, but Nate Kelly yesterday put the ball in his hand, Scott's Bluff. they found a way to win against Creighton East.
And nobody's
they
happier
might
than
be a
Jacob
force to beat.
Padilla.
No.
You know that's his guy.
Listen, no one works harder. Do you know how much basketball he watched yesterday? He watched a double overtime basketball game while writing about a game he was not watching in person at the Bob, and writing about a game that he was watching in person happen in front of him.
So
no man can absorb as much basketball as Osmosis Jones, Jacob Padilla.
Hey, listen, real quick. I wanted your seat on Saturday, and
I know you did.
But I was like, but then Caleb wanted. I didn't want him to sit in the media side, so I was like, that's fine. Well, I'll just sit. But I go, what? I said, you look flustered. What are you doing? And he goes, just trying to manage 6 things at once. I got a story I've got to get out. I've got this game, and he listed off like 4 things, and I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to do life, doesn't it? I mean, my man was getting his multitask on. It was incredible, and he barely spoke. Yeah. So then I was like, all right, I better get up. I think I'm slowing him down. Be safe today, AJ.
Hey, we'll do. Ravi, don't worry. I'm making a disgusting protein bowl right now before I hit the road. So
man.
I'm just getting those gains.
Leave the Greek yogurt out, man. It's not worth it.
No, it's 90% Greek yogurt. That's the worst part. No. You got to get gains somehow.
Oh, shoot. All right, buddy.
All right, you guys have a good one.
The X factor in that one is Amari Rahman is in a – I don't know if he's an elite level defender, but he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I bet you – that's who draws the assignment on Kircher. They had him guarding Garcia the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just forcing Robbie to play away from the basket. They were really hard on him, giving up some size.
What's Papio South going to do on Rollins?
So, I don't know. They will be tough on him.
Yeah.
Rollins, this is just my opinion. Rollins' biggest thing is what does he want to do?
Yeah. Like how
does he himself want to play?
Yeah.
Whenever he gets ready, he is a problem.
Yeah.
He is.
Like if he's on one, there's not a lot you can do.
And there are times like, he'll set up for jump shots and he'll shoot threes and you'll kind of take that because he can just punish you in the paint. But whenever he gets ready, I saw him single-handedly shoot. He did it. I've seen it multiple times. He did it to Westside a year ago.
Yeah. I
mean, they were all but left for dead.
They can bully you.
And he's like, I don't think we're losing today. But that matchup, I'm super excited about. I don't know. I think when everybody's playing at their best, it's probably Millard North.
Yeah.
But Westside's length, and if they take care of the ball, like they're good.
So the question then ends up being, as it is with most of these things, who do you trust the most to play their best?
You know what I trust?
What?
Ball getting 25. That's what I trust. Big game. He's a big time player.
Fair. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Off the front rim, no. Rivera reloads, and that's a ball game. How about this? After being down by 17, Greg McDermott's Creighton Blue Jays fights all the way back, and it takes some double overtime to send DePaul home.
I mean, we weren't ourselves for like 95% of that game, but, that's kind of what's made this team special throughout the whole year. Things go wrong, things don't go our way, whatever, but we stay together, we stay connected, and we find a way to win. Yeah, I'm going to be a little tired tomorrow, but, we got a game, so I'll recover like I need to, and I'll be ready.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, make sure you've got that seatbelt fastened and make it click as you head to work this morning. It prevents injuries and saves lives, but only when worn properly. Make it click. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB.
What up?
So just a casual 47 minutes for Kalkbrenner last night?
Yeah, he was gassed.
He was.
And as soon as I said that, he turns around, he's in the post, and he hits the hook, and I'm like, he's just going to will them.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, you just go through too many stretches without him touching the ball, though. That's
you know why?
That's gotta I don't know.
You know why they go through too many stretches.
I heard a lot during the broadcast, right? Anytime a ball entered the post entry. I don't know if that was a running bit. They listened to the show, but then it was Zugic hour. So
I was saying, and then they put Zugic in and gets the ball in the post every single time.
Yeah. So I'm like, you should be happy this morning. You got a dub. Your guy played well.
I am happy.
And it reiterated what you've been bellyaching about.
Yeah, my core belief that Fedor Zugic is one of the 5 best players on that team, and he needs to play more. I don't know how you can watch the way these games are played.
Because I think you saw what happened. And it's not like you didn't know this, but you gotta be willing to give up what happens on the other end too, because it matters who he plays with. You guys were really vulnerable.
For sure.
And in DePaul, they didn't have their way, but they were getting into the paint.
I will say though, it's not like he's any worse on the ball than Mason Miller was.
Oh, I understand.
That's it.
It's not a one-to-one. It's not a one-to-one comparison. It's what are you willing to give up?
Right. But my point is you're giving up some of the similar things with other guys, and you're not getting as much on the other end. That would be my argument, right? I understand he's not a perfect defender or sometimes even a very good defender, although I think he's probably a little better than he gets credit for. But you're giving up the exact same things with any other guy that you're putting in there that's not named Jason Green, right? So it's – and I'm getting way more. If I can get Kalkbrenner the ball consistently in the post and I have to give up what I give up on the defensive end, I'm taking that trade. Because Kalkbrenner is the guy that makes the difference against almost every team.
I think for them, when inside out, right? But the team does shoot the ball so well. I don't know if you can make a living, if Zugic is the answer in the short term for this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you one thing. somebody other than Ashworth or even Kalkbrenner is going to have to shoot it well. I don't know if it's McAndrew.
Yeah.
Who I thought was going to be ready for this one. I know he hit the lull, right?
Yeah. But he kind of bounced back
freshman.
Yeah,
then he kind of showed flashes. And I get it. Competition wasn't great when he's knocking down those threes at the tail end of the season, right? And I'm thinking, but he still needed the confidence.
It's not like DePaul's a world beater.
But see what's in the tank. I've said this, I don't know, probably 10 times in the last 10 years about Creighton where, probably going to be tired. And then they figure out a way.
Fine.
They just, they just win. So I don't know if I worry so much about getting rest as it's got to get some easier baskets.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
I want to ask Mac. I want to ask him. It didn't look like it was by design on the inbounds. It looked like DePaul just fell asleep.
To Ashworth?
Yeah, because he kind of improvised.
Yeah.
The first action didn't work. He looked.
Yeah. Because he's down low.
And then for whatever the reason, the second defender has his back to the inbounds, and I think he's coming to get the screen. He's going to deny the screener or a guy that they could inbounds the ball to.
Yeah.
So there's 2-on-1, and I think it was Kalkbrenner. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then Ashworth just pops back out. But the stones to shoot that bad boy when and how he did
2 for 15 or whatever.
I'm like, this dude, he doesn't give a what.
Not like his toes were right on the line either.
No, that joker was deep.
Things were about 30. And he's like, yeah, this looks like a good look. It's about 30. You got what? 14 seconds left still at that point.
Yeah. Wasn't that the buzzer?
He was just like, let's do this thing.
But I know who I'm over, though.
Who?
Donnie Marshall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just am.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's not great. It's not great.
I'm over it.
They don't put their best broadcast team on that, which
I'm over it.
I'm not a huge fan.
It's okay.
We'll see.
I'm gonna shake it off, big fella. Shake it off, big fella. Wasn't supposed to happen like that.
Like
that's Wheezy falling off the deal in old school. Shake it off, big fella. My bad.
Like T-Swizzle, shake it off.
No, I don't listen. I'm not doing the Taylor Swift references. I'm not a fan. I don't listen to anything she does.
Seems like it's right up your alley. No,
wrong Benning.
Oh, okay.
She's over there at Prairie Lane chilling.
Zoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now we'll get her out of it.
Why you gotta be a hater?
I just am.
I bet. As Taylor says, haters gonna hate. Oh. I'm surprised. I bet Micah's like a closet Taylor Swift fan.
I bet he's not. If he'd answer, I'd hit him up.
You don't think so?
He might.
Seems like it. He kind of seems like that might be his deal.
Yeah.
Just kind of zigging when everybody else is zagging.
I should call him. Don't tell me.
No, you're exactly
right. He's in school right now, isn't he? Or when does he start?
Not yet.
You can call him if you want.
Your ass better cool.
Shane, call Mike and see if he's a Taylor Swift fan.
Let me. Nah, I ain't doing that.
Maybe we can get some more Amen Thompson hot takes.
Wow. Keep receipts? He's a kid.
Yeah, I know. He acts like an adult, though.
Yeah, I don't.
Sometimes.
Again.
What happened?
I'll let you tell it. It's going to be an interesting day. So is Auburn Ole Miss first?
Let me check.
Are they the 12:30 or the 12?
That's a good start if it is.
It's early.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know that we get rolling quick today.
Well, I think is there tenors?
Not in the SEC.
No, I know, but
in general, yeah. There's
10:30.
So yeah, Auburn Ole Miss is at noon on ESPN, and then
Wisconsin UCLA is 1.
Yeah, so we've got the first big game early is Oregon Michigan State at 11.
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, that's a good one early. You also have Wojciech St. Bonaventure and VCU going at 10:30. So that's an early one. Yeah, we get rolling pretty quick here. You get Ole Miss Auburn at noon, as we said, and then Wisconsin UCLA at 1:30. So we're gonna be going hot and heavy pretty quick here, right after we get off the air.
I can picture you rolling.
That's not Taylor Swift.
He's closer. Not closer than you were.
So what are we doing with the Cooper Flagg injury?
I don't know. Eye rolling.
Why? I mean, he's probably not going to play the rest of the tournament, right?
So I'm bringing Micah back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped and got him a sandwich quick. So I've got the phone playing through the console and the Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
And when he went down, I thought it was going to be we were going into breaking news.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shoot. Did Russ just sign the piece? Did they sign the deal?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? No, just Cooper Flagg.
Rolled his ankle. I did think the reaction was pretty aggressive.
So, and then Duke goes on a little heater.
Yeah.
I think they go on like a 10-0 run. But it was just funny, too, because right before the injury, they were talking about Duke's season low halftime point total, which was 25, and I don't know who it was, who the radio guy was, but he's like, hey, and they're well on pace to be under that. Here we go, caution flag. Well on pace to be under that if Duke something drastic doesn't happen, and then they kind of rally.
Mm-hmm.
And then every 3 minutes we were getting Cooper Flagg updates. And I was like, wow, this guy must be a really good player because I feel like this is all that I'm hearing about.
Well, the thing that I was sort of confused by is it was pretty clearly a rolled ankle, like one way or another.
Yeah.
The degree to which, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But this was, I don't know, generally when you get this type of breaking news thing, it's, oh, maybe he did something to his knee. Maybe he did, but it was a rolled ankle, right? Like that happens in basketball pretty frequently. I thought the reaction was a little strange. Now, if you're Duke, I do think you are in a lot of trouble if he can't play in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, you've built a lot of your team around him. But, I mean, does it matter if he doesn't play in the ACC tournament? Like, who cares? You're a 1 seed with a bullet. Doesn't matter. It's like the ACC tournament means nothing to Duke. I get to their fans or whatever. But in reality, it brings nothing to the table for Duke, which means I don't even care if he's 90% today. Why would you play? Or, the rest of the tournament. Why would you play him the rest of the tournament? It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
He won't play.
I don't understand.
I think, and his Shire said as much.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, he said it was a long shot today. I was like, okay, are you being coy or you actually thinking about playing this guy?
I mean, shut him down.
Yeah, there's no point to it. But it was weird to me, the nature of the injury, that there's not really a ton of mystery to it. I didn't think. You rolled his ankle. Okay. Most of the time, that's not a break. I mean, if you want to look at it and make sure, obviously, that's great. But it's not like he went down grabbing a knee or anything like that where oh, this might be a real long-term deal. You know, it didn't – that part of it didn't make a ton of sense to me. I just didn't get the reaction.
So the thing about it is they'll still be favored today over Carolina, which, by the way, I should know what time that tips.
I'm checking.
Do you know what time that tips?
I will here in a minute. That's 6 p.m. That's the first ACC game.
I'm torn, right? You always want to the competitor in me.
You always want to win.
No.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, I want to play against the best available.
Sure.
So I'd like you want Flagg to be out there, but he shouldn't. I know he shouldn't be playing
for Duke,
and he won't be playing.
Yeah.
And but I also don't want any excuses for Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah. Well,
don't give me any gimmies.
You know what? You know where my brain went was this might artificially inflate Hubert Davis for another year.
Nah, I worried about that too, but I mean, 6x9 smoking burners. He's gonna get hot at the right time.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, apparently.
I still hate the way they play.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm not going to cheer against them.
No, I get you're not cheering against them, but this is a situation where, hey, if you get beat up by Duke or something, maybe it lends. I mean, they're in, I think, the tournament regardless. But I don't know. You artificially beat Duke, and then you're all of a sudden you're in another ACC championship game, and you're not gonna be able to get rid of him. He's got those 9 lives. Like, it's going to be really hard to get rid of him if he keeps doing stuff like this.
I'm trying hard to keep my cool. No, that's not going to be hard to get rid of him. I mean, it is what it is. He's going to get another year probably.
Yeah, I would say so at this point.
So I'm just buckled in.
You seem resigned.
I am. I mean, it's what they do. This is just what they do. There's times where I've fought myself over not wanting Tomlin to get to 500 so they can get a better draft pick.
Sure.
But I'm not cheering for them to lose. I'm like, damn it, you just ripped off 5 in a row. You guys serious?
Because they're not going to do anything, right?
It's like you guys just ripped off 5 in a row to get to 9.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
That's the conflict.
Looks really good. I was cool at 4 and 7. I mean, because that's the kind of stuff they do. So
yeah,
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it is. I guess I don't understand if you're North Carolina, right? I don't understand what the holdup is with Hurrdat Davis. Is it because he's a Carolina guy? Is that part of it?
Yeah.
Because the standard's higher than this, right? At North Carolina?
You would think.
That's what I'm confused about.
Are these rhetorical?
No, that's what I'm confused about because he's still there. Like, that's what I would think they're rhetorical questions, but.
How long did they give Doherty?
I think like 3 years.
Was it 3?
I think. I'll double check.
I should know.
It wasn't long.
I was just enamored by the fact he found a way to recruit relatively well.
He did recruit pretty well. He was not a very good coach, though.
Well,
he was not great.
No, he wasn't. Got another job after.
Although he did pretty good at SMU.
Yeah, he got another job.
Did all right. Let's see, 3 years at North Carolina. Yeah. He was 26-7 on the back of a Bill Guthridge team. Yeah. He was 8-20 the next year, which is where shockingly did not get fired. Then he went 19-16, went to the NIT and got fired. It's rough out there. I'm just saying. I would think it's
Mr. Stability.
I would think it's a rhetorical question, but obviously it looks like Hurrdat Davis is going to keep his job. So is the standard higher than that, or is it just a North Carolina guy thing? That's what I don't know.
I don't either.
Because I don't have a good reason why he's still employed.
Where are my Carolinians? Hit me up. I need a bailout. Lifeline. Man down. Man down.
What are you, a bank in 2008?
DB in distress.
Sorry, we'll get off of Carolina.
Thank you.
We'll move on.
It's making me uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. I was just asking questions. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where you can come out and check out.
I'm pumped.
You can come and check out the great specials they have here in March. The fish and chips, the Reuben, all of it looks spectacular. We've actually had, we've had the pleasure now of trying it out.
So I've got a video. The burger's coming out today. I'll tweet it out from my account. But that was good. The fish and chips, the picture. I'm gonna give credit to Shane.
Yeah.
And as a photog, because the fish took off.
Yeah.
But the picture he took was exceptional.
It was good. It was a good picture. It was a good photo.
And I heard your jokes. Well, you know why it was a good picture? It was an apple. Blah 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 blah. But
that wasn't a joke. That was serious.
But Shane, have you thought about being a photog?
No, that was just luck right there.
Yeah. He said luck. The lighting hit him just right. How about my man Johnny coming through though?
I know, coming through clutch.
Yeah, I'll take. And it's expensive out there. I know you don't like to buy groceries.
I don't really.
I don't know how you do it though. You're a lot like my barber.
Although we did go to Costco yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find anything you like?
We got some stuff.
My algorithm has like a
your Costco finds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah. A lot of times it's things I don't buy, but some meat and stuff is cool.
So I get kind of like my staples at Costco. I get my
Uncrustables. I know you're gonna say Uncrustables.
I get my Diet Coke.
Wow.
I get my Gatorade. I get my C4. I get my Uncrustables.
All things I don't even know if I go in those aisles, but okay.
I
don't knock the hustle.
So those are like the stuff that I kind of either the drink every day or that I need like my little snacks. I'll even do so for low blood sugars. The little Rice Krispie treats are really good, especially when I'm working out because I can eat them super fast.
Apparently, the ice cream bars are legit because everybody's doing those on my. I have a lot of food tasters on my algorithm.
I wonder why.
I didn't realize. I
tell you.
I didn't realize the picture went that. I mean, quite a few thousand views on that thing.
Went viral.
Yeah. It must have been that low angle shot that I had of it.
It looks so. It looked dense and.
It looked delicious. It looked really good.
Yeah, I put about 17 on with a 17. I could probably eat 10 of those for sure.
Yeah,
melt a little cheese on top of every one. Just knife and fork that thing.
What are you doing?
People. So apparently, I don't know if you know all these people that now have fish sandwiches. 80% of them put cheese on there.
What are you doing, man?
Whatever. You sound like Sophia. You guys, you just hate. It's fine. Like hate to be hating. There are that group right there. They have cheese on their fish sandwich.
Yeah, I'm not eating that.
McDonald's cheese on their fish sandwich.
I'm not eating that either.
Well, you act like it's foreign.
No, I don't.
The great Culvers that you love. They have cheese on their sandwich.
I don't eat that fish sandwich either. I'll be honest. I don't eat fish sandwiches. I like fish and chips. I don't eat fish sandwiches. I don't know what it is. There's like a disconnect in my brain.
Yeah.
I don't like fish sandwiches.
Shoot, I do.
I'll do if I want a fried I'll do like a chicken sandwich a lot. But I'm not doing a fish sandwich. I don't know
why. Speaking of which, I don't know if depends on what you want to do from a health standpoint and intake.
Mm-hmm.
But they have in the frozen food section for chicken. They have like buffalo, like for chicken sandwiches.
Oh yeah,
you may want to take a look at. Pretty high quality.
So I really don't like buffalo.
I don't either, but I get it I do it for Caleb. You got an air fryer.
How much like vinegar does the buffalo taste like?
Man, I don't get into that. I don't like buffalo sauce.
I don't either, but it's because because of the vinegar.
But I will tell you this though.
Yeah.
Like if I was gonna do a sauce, it would be Carolina. So I don't mind the vinegar.
So for the most part, and I don't know what they do, you would know better than I do. But for whatever reason, I don't really taste or smell the vinegar in Carolina sauce the way I do in buffalo sauce. I don't know if I don't know if like the mustard overpowers it enough.
Mustard.
Apparently, we're all about Kendrick this morning. We got the mustard.
Turn her
just
TV
went
off. Turn the
viral.
TV off. Turn the TV off.
Just got hit him with a, it's going to be all right. Got him all covered this morning.
We're gonna be all right.
That's a different one.
Doc
and Kendrick are pretty different.
I don't.
Selfish.
I did chicken thighs yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I have so many. I did a little hot chili oil.
What'd you do with them?
Little hot chili oil, little sesame, a couple drops of sesame oil because it's super powerful. White pepper, salt, garlic powder, onion powder,
oil.
and like a teaspoon of dark soy. Put it in the bowl for a second, probably 4 hours.
A little Asian bowl.
And then grilled them.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I had 4.
Dude, sesame oil's fire.
It really is, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
It's very powerful.
You gotta be sparse.
So I am
can't go crazy.
Frugal at its finest, baby. I had a ton of chicken thighs.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't used to eat it. I told you I'm only new to I'm only 4 years into chicken thighs.
You're new to the thigh game.
Yeah, literally 4 years.
Yeah. What happened? Like what changed?
So I got a good buddy, Corey, who smoked some chicken thighs, and my buddy Heath. So actually, Heath was the guy who, when he first started smoking chicken thighs, I'm like, and he loves to smoke, and it was the best. He'll try to smoke anything. Like he's got the toys, the bells and whistles, and he did some chicken thighs once. I'm like, these are incredible. He's like, I'm telling you, and that's back when you could get chicken thighs for.
That was pretty cheap.
99 cents a pound.
Yeah.
I might have smoked it too.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I was always over there, and he just would. They were incredible.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say 4 or 5 years.
There you go.
New to the game, but now they're still the cheapest part of the meat that's not a drumstick.
Yeah. Chicken thighs are good. I like them.
Wings cost more than thighs, which is ludicrous.
I don't know what's going on.
Luda.
That's a different one. I thought we were on Kendrick this morning.
We're gonna flop back and forth. we're gonna be on TC here in a second.
You a big Luda guy?
He's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
like
okay.
late '90s, early 2000s. There was a moment.
I'm not mad at him.
I was a big rollout guy.
He's okay.
That's TB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back with Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi, Lulla, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. We are joined now by our friend Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska, who got himself a little hot water yesterday. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how's it going?
How are your mentions, Tim?
Interesting.
I'm just gonna say this because I'm gonna keep it 100. It did not move my needle. I took it as speculation.
Yeah, and like I feel like I
did.
phrased it. I feel like I phrased it in such a way that I was like, "Hey, this is my personal like opinion on the situation," and just understanding it from a multitude of things beyond just the injury alone. You're switching positions. You have 2.5 months. It's a new offense. You see, same verbiage, but it's a new offense. You know, the depth at wide receiver and tight end is arguably better than it was a year ago. Like, I mean, I would also say this. If you're at a point where, as talented as he is and as talented as we think he's going to be for this program, if you need Carter Nelson on the field early this season, that's a bad thing. That says a bad thing about wide receiver and tight end depth, in my opinion.
So for people that weren't paying attention yesterday or that weren't online as much, Tim made a educated guess that he thought Carter Nelson may not play much, if at all, next year based on the hip injury. And as you were talking about the depth that the two groups that he would kind of be in there. I would tend to agree with you on what it means if you need Carter Nelson early, right? They've brought in a ton of guys in that wide receiver room that you would like to think that are ready to go. You've got a couple guys that are already there in Ja'Cory Barney, especially, that you really like, and you hope that he's going to be there. You've got a couple freshmen that are probably ahead of Carter Nelson in terms of just receiver skills in like a Cortez Mills and a Mosey. And then you've got Demetrius Bell, who you hope is healthy and coming back, a guy that they thought could be a contributor last year. It's a pretty deep room before you get to Carter Nelson, a guy that's still sort of learning the position and coming off of a pretty significant injury, right? Like that's kind of where we're at.
Right. And, you know, again, the word is he's switching to tight end. And even then, you look at what he's going to be asked, you figure what he's going to be asked to do. He's not going to be like a traditional inline tight end. And you look at the way Nebraska's expected to play personnel, he's essentially going to be a jumbo receiver, which is why I said receiver on Twitter and you know, everywhere. It's kind of just been like, hey, like he's still going to be kind of used like a jumbo receiver. And you look across the room, like, yeah, Heinrich Harburg's there. You got Mac Markway, you got Luke Lindenmeyer, and then at receiver, like you mentioned, the young freshman, you got Ja'Cory Barney, you have Isaiah Hunter, and Hardley Gilmore, and Dane Keat. Like, yeah, it's just the depth is adding up to the point where, yeah, like okay, they want to go 6 to 8 plus deep at pass catcher. He may be the 9th guy. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
When you're talking about the development at the room as a whole, you think it's kind of going to be more of the versatility of the hybrids or more traditional as they've kind of found a way to utilize the strengths of like Lindenmeyer and whatever happens with Markway and some of these tight ends in the room where, I mean, it's their development last year, I think was maybe impressive is too strong of a word, but I felt like it was pretty good, especially from an inline standpoint.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm actually interested to see how Dana plans to use the tight ends. What type of personnel we see this spring and into the fall. Like, you know, I could see traditional, like, hey, there's 2 tight ends out there, but, you know, we're running like 3-by-1 sets where one of the tight ends is out wide, one of the tight ends is in line. You've got 2 other receivers around them. Or, you know, you're doing a true, like, you know, 2 tight end sets where they're just attached to the line coming out of a stance. And so, that's something that I'm interested to figure out, especially, you know, I think as Heinrich Harburg specifically settles into his role, because I could see him playing in line hypothetically, but do you guys just want to see him out of a receiver stance, like out of the slot?
Well, I think the way that they want to play, I just go back to this TV because I think it's interesting. When I was talking to Coach Holgerson in New York, we were talking about kind of some of the strengths and weaknesses and what's made it kind of more of a seamless transition. And he's talking about the verbiage and how he liked the instruction and the teaching. And he said, plus, you know, with the run game and our tight end schemes, Coach Satterfield and Coach Raiola have such a symbiotic relationship, right? They know what each other needs and wants up front. from that position in terms of blocking. So it's been pretty easy. And I felt like that was an interesting distinction to make, because when you're on staffs, that camaraderie and chemistry in terms of teaching is absolutely underappreciated, because I think it's something from the outside in that we take advantage of. And so I think they just like the development of the group as a whole, and they're excited to kind of see where it goes. I don't know, but that was kind of my takeaway from how he was kind of describing it.
Yeah, that's a good point too on the cohesiveness. Because yeah, I think people just blindly assume, hey, offensive coordinator calls it, everyone falls in line. It's not always that simple. There's definitely like ego push and pull battles, but when you have guys that get along like that, and there's a reason Satterfield's still on staff, there's clearly something they see, especially up front with the tight ends and offensive line, that made it that Satterfield, one, is able to stick around, and two, they wanted him to stick around.
Tim, I was wondering, I've seen a lot of stuff start to trickle out about visits to Nebraska for the 2026 guys, and whether it's during the spring period or it seems like there's going to be some big weekends in June as well. Where do you feel like Nebraska is in terms of being on track for the 26 class? Because they just have the 3 commits. It can feel like they're a little late, but I don't know if that's just my perception or how are you seeing this play out?
I don't think it's late. I just think they're in the same spot. Like we talked so much last offseason about, it's a prove it year. You got to show some stuff on the field to really capture some momentum. And yeah, they showed some stuff on the field last year, but I don't think it was necessarily enough for certain guys. And so there's certain recruitments where, you talk to guys and they're like, yeah, I just want to see what happens in the fall. It's like, well, I don't know if Nebraska's going to have that time. I don't know if you're probably going to be committed to that point, like, to that kid. And so that's kind of where we're at is, yeah, there's a good group. I think specific positions are not ahead of schedule, but I feel comfortable. I feel good about where they're at with the running back board. I feel good where they're at with the tight end board. And honestly, I do feel good about the offensive line board. Like I think they've got enough depth there that I think they're going to land some quality offensive linemen this cycle. Defensive line is a kind of a work in progress just because of the coaching turnover. But that was expected and kind of we'll see what happens there. They still have, their top targets are still on the board. They still have, like an established group of guys. I just think that board's going to continue to grow. I like where the linebacker board's at, and I like where the DB room is getting to. It's just, I think D-line right now, and then I think receiver has like a solid group of bodies. I just think they're kind of figuring out the hierarchy and figuring out who's a true target and who's not right now. So that's just kind of, it's a transition that happens when you change, position coaches, when you change a coordinator, all of that. It's going to take some time. I do think this year compared to last year, Nebraska's better positioned to gain some in-season momentum just because of my confidence in what Dana Holgorsen can do for Dylan Raiola and what that offense could look like and what they're going to be able to pitch on the recruiting trail.
Tim, I know you had some questions about O-line in the mailbag, and I thought it's interesting because Coach Rule basically, and he didn't really pause or give much time. So it must have been kind of fresh in how he really thinks, where he talked about it's going to be a good time for some young guys that they think are pretty close to have a chance to develop, right? Where you can say to yourself, okay, maybe we'll limit Latovsky to just X amount of snaps. We'll only put him through this, or situationally, we'll only use another offensive lineman like this because we can take a look at this guy, and this guy. He started with Sledge and kind of went down the list. How do you feel from a development standpoint, how important this spring is relative to what you think we'll see in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, just because there's so many questions on the line, I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, like right now for me, you think 2 of the 3 interior spots are pretty locked up. You think it's going to be Evans and Spindler. Spindler, assuming, is going to slide in where he's always slid in, and Evans either playing the other guard spot or sliding in at center. So that other guard spot is like, is it going to be Henry Lutovsky again, or does a young guy like a Preston Tuamu or Gibson Pyle, or even like a really young guy like a Houston Keanu Torres, do they make a rise this offseason? Because I think, and even a tackle right now, because that was an interesting discussion on the board yesterday, because I'd listed Gunnar Gatula as the backup left tackle. And that's just purely speculation, just on the, okay, what if they move Elijah Pritchard to the other side of the line? All of that. Like, that was just, again, an educated guess on, taking a shot, this early out. Like, how do you compare for this program long term for like a Donovan Raiola? How do you compare the hypothetical higher ceiling for a guy like Gunnar Gatula with another year of development versus what you already have in the experience you get from a Turner Corcoran or a Teddy Prohaska if they are healthy? Like, how do you balance that in your head? Because, yeah, like hypothetically, you look at the line up front, Justin Evans, Rocco Spindler, those guys are good and will give you solid, like they'll give you solid pocket next year. But you have hypothetically a higher ceiling with a guy like a Gibson Pyle or a Preston Tuamu or a Houston Keanu Torres or even like a Grant Bricks where I just think that's an interesting balance. Do you weigh the immediate results and like okay, we can be fine here, or we could really start to build a line that's elite in 2026 and beyond?
That's an interesting question, Tim, because the way they've talked about what they expect this year, it almost makes me believe they're going to go for the thing they know is going to perform. But this is, still believe this is developmental and teaching program.
Yeah, that's on the heels of when he talked about as a freshman, you're this, then as a redshirt, you're this, then as a sophomore, you're this. Like he still reminded us of that in regards to.
I thought those, I agree. I thought those comments, yes, that was notable. Of like, hey, like I thought that was more even telling us, but also like kind of reminding the players, like, hey, it's year 3, it's year 3, like you got to shoot for year 3.
So I can't remember now that I'm on it because I do think that was pretty interesting. Was that before or after he went through the laundry list? Or was it after?
I think it was after because he went through you mean the injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah, or the non-participants? Yeah, because he went through that right off the top.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I think that's how it just confirms that is how they want to build it, especially in this league. Right?
Right.
I mean,
which I think is the right decision.
That's the barometer for everybody, us, internally, the players.
Right.
Not to panic.
And I do wonder to a certain extent, you mentioned and Prohaska. I do wonder to a certain extent with their injury history, if that's just a situation where they don't want to have to count on those guys and they are more supplemental pieces at this point in their careers. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, like I was thinking about this yesterday because, again, like kind of putting the puzzle at O-line, like if, again, whatever happens with Pritchett, right now you look at the rest of the room, there's very limited experience at right tackle. But if you move someone to right tackle, you just keep Pritchett at right tackle, you put Gunner at left tackle, there's only one guy with swing ability that's got experience. And that's Turner Corcoran. Mm-hmm. Is that the guy we're looking at as like the 6th lineman off the bench? Like, and Teddy, comes in relief at tackle as well. But is the 6th guy off the bench someone like Turner that can swing in at both tackle spots and potentially either guard spot as well? That's something I think we're going to figure out here in the next, like this offseason, obviously, because I don't know what Turner's going to. I don't think we're going to see him this spring, obviously, and then I don't know how, like, what shape he's going to be in for the fall. I don't know what to expect from Teddy and Turner at this point in their career because it is kind of for them do or die time. Like it is kind of you got to make it or don't. But like, are either of those guys going to be one healthy enough or two consistent enough to be a starter?
Well, and I mean, especially with the way you laid out Corcoran there, like, are they more valuable in a reserve? Like, if you have a guy that can play 4 of the 5 spots on the offensive line, it's valuable to have him kind of as your 6th offensive lineman, as you say.
Yeah, and there's a way to pitch him on that role and potentially, be like, hey, this is also best for your long-term career. But that's up to Matt Rule and Donovan Raiola on that. But yeah, I was just looking through the room yesterday and I was like, man, there's only really one guy with that just played both sides of the line outside of Elijah Pritchett that I think can do this, and it is Turner. So if he can get back into shape and is good to go by the fall, like I wouldn't be surprised if he's a 6th lineman off the bench.
When you're talking about you said you kind of like where the DB room is going. From a recruiting standpoint, did you get the sense? Because it seemed like Snow said it, Addison Williams said it out loud. Do you think they were surprised at what was actually in the room? And do you think it was based on what they actually saw in performance from a year ago?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about
Isn't
it
it
in
weird
season.
how both of them referenced the young, a lot of young, fast talent in the room?
Yeah, because I mean, we talked about it all season how they kind of lacked that. They had an athleticism deficit in the secondary last year, but it was because they had to play certain veterans, and so now you're at a point where, okay, like all of these guys have had a full almost or another offseason of development. They're entering spring ball. You've got a good group of athletes there. I think that was notable, and I do think. I think that puzzle is going to be really fun because there's a lot of names I get. I'm sure you do too, Damon, but like a lot of names I've got like thrown at me of like, hey, keep an eye on this guy in spring, keep an eye on this guy in spring. And every week it feels like it's a different guy in the DB room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder how much that surprised people because I think the assumption was from fans at least that you see who's out there, you see who's starting, that whoever was behind it must not be any better, right? Or must not be more athletic or whatever the case was.
Well, it's like 4 of their top 8 miles per hour have been in the DB room.
Right, and guys that didn't necessarily play a ton last year, right? So you go and you look at, okay, this is why I was clamoring last year, be like, hey, I would like to see some different guys back there, right? Because even, and I think I talked about this last week, even if like Gifford and Singleton and whoever else test well, I don't know that they play as fast as they test. I would like to see if some of these other guys play as fast as they test.
I'll be curious to see what happens with a healthy Hurdzog. And I do have now full disclosure, Tim, I think you know this too. I know Ravi does. Like I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Malcolm because I know he hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
And he hasn't really been put in advantageous positions.
And he lays it on the line to not get the benefit of the doubt a ton. I'd be curious to see what a recharged Hurdzog and a healthy Hurdzog brings to the table. And I get it. Tim, I say that and I can feel the collective eye roll from I just can because I know, right? I'm in the middle of it, but for some reason, man, I still mustered the courage to say that out loud.
Yeah, and a fresh set of eyes like could be what this room needs, like in terms of just putting guys in the spots, like more than even the athleticism deficit. We talked about this on the show. Like it felt in season like they were playing guys almost out of position. Like there were times where I was like, I don't think Isaac Gifford should be the deep hole safety, like the one high safety. Like I don't think that should be Gifford. Like and I think a fresh set of eyes would help. I think again the addition of the room and bringing in some veteran competition and guys that can push some of the younger guys too. I think all of that is helpful. Push the older guys too. I mean, I don't think Deshaun Singleton, Malcolm Hurdzog, Sierra Wright, I don't think those guys should be comfortable. Like, I think those guys should be like looking behind them and being like, oh, this guy's in the room now. Andrew Marshall's here. Hey, Justin Rhett's here. You know, like they should be looking around and saying, yeah, there's some competition in the room. I need to fight to hold on to my job.
Tim, how much do you think the defensive back rotation last year had to do with the timing of when John Butler was hired?
I think I think Butler's like now starting to figure out the personnel in his room. By the end of the year, he's starting to figure out. But I think if he came in either at the start of the summer or a couple weeks earlier, we maybe see a different rotation than what we saw. Yeah, I think I don't think we saw as much rotation in the secondary. I mean, that's just going off I need to look at the numbers, but I just from a feeling standpoint didn't feel like we had as much or rotation this year as we had in the last 2 years or the year before.
So let me ask you something, TV. When we were talking about recruiting and kind of the D-line and where they're at needing maybe a boost. I don't know, but you just get the sense with Terry and Phil. I don't want to assume it's going to be an automatic uptick because Knighton did do a good job. But don't you feel like the juice that those guys bring and kind of their connections? Could I assume that position would be a recruiting upgrade? And it's been good. It's been good. Yeah, I mean, you could talk me off, but
I think it can be. I think it's up to how they close because they're in on some talented guys. And I do like what Phil Simpson specifically has done, going down into Florida and finding some of these diamonds in the rough. Like one to keep an eye on. This kid out of Miami Southridge, Cameron Wilson, who had over 100 tackles, 17 TFLs or 33 TFLs, and then 17 and a half sacks as a junior. That's a guy that's like 6'5", wiry, 200 pounds out of Southridge that you put on, 20, 30 pounds on him, get him in, and you look at the frame, that's a guy that can add mass to that frame. But that's a guy that's a perfect like Jack, or even like a guy that can go into defensive end. Those type of diamond in the rough types are the ones, you want Nebraska to be hitting on. You want Nebraska to go and find. And so a guy like that is someone that, maybe the previous staffs, they weren't finding that. I think more than that, I think the emphasis on bringing these two guys in and saying, okay, we're going to have our Jacks rush the passer consistently. We're looking for guys off the edge that can rush the pass. Like, they have a vision now of what that Jack position is supposed to be. And I think that's going to help more than even just the position coaches, is being able to pitch guys on, hey, you can rush the edge off from a 2-point stand consistently. We're not just going to, because when Willis McGahee came in, it was initially like, oh, we're going to figure it out at linebacker somewhere. Now it's like, okay, you're a pass rusher. You're a stand-up pass rusher. So I think figuring out what the Jack position means and having a dedicated outside linebackers coach in Philip Simpson is going to help recruiting overall. But I think it's going to be a learning process. Like, I think you shoot for 27 in terms of the big fish outside of Titan Davis. But 2026, it's about finding what you can find based on how late both of these guys are relative to the cycle.
Tim, what do you think the ceiling of the defensive line room as we sit here before spring ball even starts?
Talking about just 26 alone?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one, because I think the ceiling is, I mean, you listen to Deshaun McCullough talk about where Williams and Minari is right now. I mean, if Williams hits, if Deshaun hits, like me and Steve talked about this on the phone yesterday. What if Deshaun McCullough comes in and is like a 7.5, 8 sack guy, and Williams and Minari is maybe not a starter at the start of the year, but gets comfortable, keeps going, and he starts to come into his own by like October, and he's kind of pretty consistent off the edge. Then you got Riley Van Poppel, Keona Davis off the edge. I think the ceiling for the room is potentially as high as it was last year. I think the floor is much lower than it was last year, just because, hey, it's all about boom or bust with some of these guys. Well, last year you had the depth where, okay, Jamari isn't producing, get Princely in there, or Prince Will in there. Like Kai Wallen isn't producing, get James in there. They had the depth last year that they don't this year. But I think the top end of the room is as good as it can be, as good as the top end of the room was last year.
Interesting.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese, inside Nebraska. Tim, appreciate the time as always. Try not to make any crazy proclamations over the weekend and get you in trouble, all right?
Yeah, I'm sticking to recruiting. I'll leave the football news breaking to the football news breakers.
I do. Appreciate it, TV.
Appreciate y'all.
That's Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Good stuff from him as always. That's why it's nice to talk to people instead of just read about them on the internet. Because when you hear him talk about Carter Nelson on our show as opposed to just on Twitter, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, right?
It's funny how that works. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We will be
grabbing headlines that you can barely read. It's my favorite.
Hey, you know what they say? Reading is fun. Demental.
Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy. Now click on my link.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB.
Yes, sir.
It's a big day today for me personally.
Multitude of reasons.
For me personally.
What is that?
We got a lot going on. Obviously, Creighton plays UConn tonight. Big one for me. Millard North goes again this afternoon. So it's 1:30. I looked it up, not 1:15. My guy Jermaine's got Scut tonight. They're still back at it.
That's going to be a good one.
And then
against Norris.
And then my guy Jake is in the NAIA National Tournament tonight against Grace College in Indiana.
You got a lot of successful friends.
I mean, I'm trying. I like to surround people that are smarter than I am, which isn't that hard. But, and then maybe most importantly, DB. Maybe most importantly, actually, there's two more. It's Pi Day.
As in pies?
As in
3.14?
3.14. It's Pi Day.
Yeah, I'm out on that.
When I was a kid, my mom made like a big deal about this. We always go get like pizza and we get pies on Pi Day.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's a little math nerd thing.
Weird, but cute.
And then, most importantly, DB, do you know what today is?
What's that?
It is Wardell Stephen Curry Jr.'s birthday.
That might be the dumbest thing I've ever
He's
heard.
37 years old. We love him dearly.
Who's we? You got a turd in your pocket?
No, the royal we.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.
And last night he hit 4,000 career three-pointers.
Top 10 of all time.
That took forever.
Dude's just back there laying in the cut.
Damn you, Shane.
Took forever. I'm still trying to figure out this free agency. So while you enjoy your day,
I'll
be watching a lot of basketball. Yeah. That's what I'll be doing.
A lot of hoops to watch.
And I'll see what happens with free agency.
What are you waiting on? Quarterback?
Yeah.
I'm waiting on everything else.
The Aaron Rodgers slander is pretty incredible.
What do you mean? You're already talking yourself into him?
No, I just think it's like nobody thinks he's any good.
He might be. No, so that's not my issue. My issue is not that he's not good at football. It's do you want him in your building?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
You know what's funny is we act like we haven't seen this before. I love when we invent these hypotheticals of no, it's not a hypothetical. Sure, it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to work myself up into something that has never been a problem for Mike Tomlin.
That's fair.
I'm just.
I also think it's kind of funny.
History says it will be fine.
it's also kind of funny that, and I forget about this too until you bring it up to me. I do think it's kind of funny that we assume that Antonio Brown didn't go crazy until he left Pittsburgh, and not that he was crazy the whole time and Tomlin was just able to handle him.
Again,
same thing with Le'Veon Bell. It's like we assume he didn't become a problem until he left.
Feel
Pittsburgh.
free to Google Martavius Bryant.
I don't want to.
Okay. The phenom out of Clemson and the locker room at the same time.
Yeah.
So I've seen this before.
We just make these assumptions, though.
You know, like you think one apple's going to spoil that bunch. It never has. So what we're anticipating would on a historical level, it would take a first.
It's not like Ben Roethlisberger was a model citizen at the beginning of his career.
Correct. Found his way into a lot of strange bathrooms.
A lot of
allegedly.
It's not like not like Plaxico Burress just started having fun when he got to New York.
100%.
Like there's a lot of evidence. So it's not just, they've always had a good locker room, they're gonna have a good locker room. So, no, they've had a good locker room despite having some difficult personalities.
Did we forget about Pouncey? And how that thing turned political? They've had it.
Not just that, this is a dude who is very closely associated with Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
Very closely associated with Aaron Hernandez. And what did we hear out of Pouncey the entire time he was in Pittsburgh? Not a peep.
Yeah, so it's like, I get it. Sure, it's Aaron Rodgers, and I think they need things to talk about, but I'm not going to invent problems.
And none of those guys have been involved with murder investigations, which I think is a plus.
But I'm just, oh, man, but do you want – I want an upgrade from a year ago. That's what I want.
You want something better than Russell Wilson, which is not a big ask.
I hope Russ gets what he wants when he's taking his tour.
Well, he just got done at Cleveland yesterday.
And New York's next, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
You
know how petty I am? You know how bad this is?
Yes, I do, actually.
You know how bad this is?
I 100% know.
Okay. I think you'll be able to know this because you've experienced this up close. What's one of my favorite cars? It's the one we drove in Indy.
Oh, yeah, but what I get those confused.
The Wagoneer.
Yeah, I get those confused.
Oh, yeah, the different models.
Yeah.
So I love the Wagoneers, right? I think they're great-looking cars.
I've had a couple.
I've
seen you in a couple.
I was so excited to drive it when we got to the rental place.
That dude was like, "Why are you?" You're like, "Yes." I'm like, "Why are you so happy?"
And I saw him grab the key, and I saw him grab the Wagoneer key. I was like, "Let's go!"
Which, by the way, I thought about that the other day because of how miserable you were in Indy.
Yeah.
Do you know when we went to I forgot that you had to use the restroom at the gas station that was 100 yards away from the rental car place.
Yeah.
I knew we were in trouble. I'm like, where's Ravi? They're like, oh, he's in the bathroom. I'm like, already? And I went in there to wash my hands, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I was like, maybe it's for the road. Like, okay.
So that one was an attempt at a preemptive strike. You know,
that's totally on me.
Let me just see if I can get this out.
We were trying to get ahead of it, right? We're trying to get ahead of it. I was preparing, I was trying to get ahead of it. Was trying to get ahead of it all morning.
Yeah.
Was unsuccessful, obviously.
Yeah.
But no. So I loved the Wagoneer. I was so excited to get it. Loved driving. It's the only thing that I enjoyed about Indy was getting to drive the Wagoneer, even though I was just trying not to poop my pants the whole time. But I see Russell Wilson driving away from Cleveland in a Wagoneer, and I was like, I don't know if I want one anymore.
Yeah, you're out on the Wagoneer.
I think I might be out.
I kind of know the feeling.
I was like,
Believe me, when LeBron inked in L.A., I don't know about that Lakers gear anymore. I know, I get it. It's tough.
That's like, I thought it instantly, and I was like, that's kind of embarrassing, but I really feel that in my soul.
That is so you.
It really is.
Not smart. He likes it, so I don't. But wait, you've liked it your whole life. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, I'm out. I don't want to be associated with that guy. And I guarantee you, nobody even else noticed he was driving a Wagoneer.
Everybody, that's vintage. Let's ride. Let's ride.
I saw somebody go, dog pound, let's bark.
Russell Wilson.
What's he gonna say if he goes to New York? What's their catchphrase?
I don't know. I don't
I don't have that one. So he might have to go to Cleveland just so he has something to say.
That quarterback situation is icky.
Which one? All of them?
Yeah. Although I'm telling you though, the best the best low. I always like to try to find these and then see if I'm right. The best low key signing of a quarterback was in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah,
that one's gonna change the trajectory of the franchise the most, I think.
Which is funny because that's not a guy that anybody really likes that much.
He's with a good coach.
Yeah,
he's got a good run game.
We keep saying it's good roster. Like Indy's got a pretty good.
They
roster.
do need a little bit of an upgrade in some spots, but so does everybody.
But I would say pretty good roster.
No, I feel you.
Considering what the results were last year, much better roster than you would think.
And
Anthony Richards is not that guy.
No,
like he's just not that guy.
I'd try to move him, to be honest.
Yeah,
but I don't know what you could get for him. But on a rookie contract, it doesn't hurt. But conversely, it doesn't hurt you to keep him either.
Well, so the only thing that hurts you to keep him is if he doesn't win the job, then you really have no market for him.
Yeah.
You basically just have to trade him for a 7th rounder, maybe, which now
doesn't cost you anything.
No, it doesn't. But you're just not going to get anything out of them, which maybe they don't care about that. Maybe it's more important to them to see if it works.
So you got Pittman and Pierce. You got a decent offensive line.
He's got Taylor.
You're I don't know. It's a winnable division. I really like that signing.
Yeah, AFC South is not daunting.
And it's affordable.
Yeah, was it $14 million?
Yeah.
It's less than Justin Fields got.
Yeah. So it's like, and you couldn't. I was gonna say you could probably talk me into liking what the Jets did, but you can't.
You're just that far out on Justin Fields.
I'll give Justin Fields the benefit of the doubt with good leadership around him. So I'm willing to see what happens with Glenn.
Yeah.
Because they will run it tight. Aaron Glenn doesn't play.
I do feel like I don't think Justin Fields is a world beater by any means. I do feel like he gets sort of this weird perception of him. Like he's not Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's not.
I'm with you. I agree.
Like he's been okay.
I agree.
He's not gonna probably light the world on fire with his arm.
I agree.
But he's been okay. And he's been a functional quarterback in some dysfunctional situations, and he finally gets in a functional situation in Pittsburgh and he looks the best he's ever looked, right? Like I have a hard time with the way a lot of people perceive Justin Fields. And maybe that's because I'm still holding on to the fact that I wanted the 49ers to draft him instead of Trey Lance. So I'm just trying to be like, oh, see, I was right. He actually was pretty good. But I don't think he's this disaster that everybody thinks he is. Now, do I think he's the savior of the Jets? Probably not.
What do you think Dallas is trying to do?
I never know what Dallas is trying to do.
Who you taking in the fight between Lawrence and Parsons?
Dexter Lawrence kind of scares me a little bit more.
Lawrence is good.
Like Parsons is good, but he kind of he feels a
kind
little
of like that silly guy tough.
He feels a little bit more like wide receiver tough. You know exactly what I mean, don't you?
Yes.
I just remember his act at Friday Night Lights. I'll never get that out of my head.
So that's like a famous thing with people in Nebraska. Yeah. Is Parsons at that Friday Night Lights?
It's incredible. And I did it. I'll take it one further because I'm going off what they couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inside, with the guy anyway, I'm inside and he's in the players lounge.
Mm-hmm.
It's big time, right? And it was a star-studded night.
Yeah, there's a ton of dudes there.
My man is in the players lounge, knocked.
Just asleep?
Sleeping. Handful of guys, the good ones, up there kind of walking around, getting a tour. They all go out. We go out, or staff, and Brian Clark was there, so that's kind of when I made nice with him.
Mm-hmm.
And who, by the way, it's
like ESPN Ryan Clark?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, his son was there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Howard Griffith's son was there. Like, it was some dudes.
Yeah.
That was Radley Hiles. There was,
Mm-hmm.
So about 30 minutes goes by, and the place is jammed. There's got to be 12K there, probably, if I remember right. And people are going crazy, and there's this little running back that ended up going to Oklahoma, and he's hyping people up. And this dude, Parsons, comes out about 40 minutes late. Wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
Hopping in drills, just dominating. Wide receiver, DB. He's down on the end with one-on-ones. I'm like, Well, this dude's pretty good. But I couldn't get out of my head that he was asleep an hour ago.
Yeah.
And he barely stretched. I mean, knocked. It was incredible.
This is why, like, that type of stuff is why I don't understand when guys are at the combine and they, like, can't be bothered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just wanted to be competitive.
And apparently at every position.
Dude, he was cutting guys in line. He got like a couple of DB reps, and he got a couple of offensive reps.
Yeah.
These dudes are just letting him. I'm like, boy, please. Like, are you nuts?
You're like, you're not taking my reps.
Or I would like to have gone against him.
Yeah.
And he
was giving it to people.
Sawing logs, though. I would just be uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you're not sleeping in public ever.
Yeah, and it's not my house. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he got there early. I don't know. Maybe he was tired.
I don't know. The guy seems like he's unbothered by a lot of other people's opinions.
Yeah, you already know.
But no, in a fight, I think I'm taking Lawrence.
Yeah.
In a combine, I'm taking Parsons.
A little Super Bowl reference, and then it jumped off. We'll see.
In a combine, I'm taking Parsons. In a fight, I think I'm taking Lawrence. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and reminding you, a week from tomorrow, your Omaha Supernovas will be back in town. So make sure you get to supernovas.com to get your tickets. They got that nice reverse sweep yesterday against Indy Ignite, and they'll be back in town a week from tomorrow. Make sure you get your tickets, supernovas.com. DB.
Yo.
I'm trying to find the running
That was
back.
2017.
I'm trying to find your running back from Oklahoma. Trying to find him.
I'll ask T-Mose.
You think he'll know off top? Oh, he's an Oklahoma guy. Of course he will.
Yeah.
He's a big old dork.
But that Friday Night Lights was star-studded.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think that was the Buki. That was the Buki year.
Who was the DB we wanted that ended up going to Arizona?
Ooh. I'm going to have to – I'm trying to remember.
There were some fellas there. Lindsey was there.
Tyjon, yep.
Old boy from Kansas City that I thought was going to be a really good receiver who ended up leaving.
Leaving here?
Yep. He left Nebraska.
Oh, who was that? Who was that in the Nebraska class?
Was he from Kansas City or St. Louis?
Oh, St. Louis, I think. I think I know who you're talking about.
I liked him. He was super polished.
I'm going to look him up. I'm pretty sure it's St. Louis because I remember there being a St. Louis wide receiver because I don't think I'm going all the way back. Man,
yeah.
So Tyjon Lindsey was on that class. Who else do we got here?
Are you doing the
was
top?
That McQuitty?
Yep.
Javon McQuitty?
Yep.
Where's he from? Columbia.
Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah, it was McQuitty. McQuitty was nice.
You liked McQuitty. I remember
I did.
that.
He was nice that night.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't quite get it going.
Yeah.
Javon McQuitty. Who else was in that?
Tyjon was in that class. Javon McQuitty. Avery Roberts.
Yep. Who I liked.
DeAndre Thomas.
I might have put Avery in my Super Six.
That's Tristan Jebbia's class. Chris Walker out of Lincoln East. That's the Keyshawn Johnson Jr. class.
Yeah, he murdered us in high school.
Willie Hampton, Guy Thomas, Brennan James,
Hymus,
excuse me. I didn't see the I in there. Kurt Rafdahl.
Oh yeah.
Matt Sichterman. That's the Austin Allen class.
Yep.
Damian Daniels, Jalen Bradley, Brock Bando, who people were real excited about for a while.
Yep.
Ben Miles from Louisiana, and Damian Jackson.
We like Miles because he was coming over from
yeah. And he was a fullback. We all
that was a good
fullbacks.
Class on paper.
It was a good class.
What was that class ranked?
That was ranked 22nd.
4, 6, 8, 12.
So about what we've been getting, 22nd. That wasn't his. I think was 16 his best class.
Riley?
Yeah.
I don't know, but he was getting some fellas on campus.
What's that?
Oh, I think 17 was supposed to be a little bit better.
And it kind of faltered at the end.
At the end, yeah. And then 18 was going to be a real good class, but they canned him.
And I can't remember who the DB was that went to Arizona.
I'll see if I can find Arizona here.
Somebody will know.
I know this is spectacular radio, me looking up recruiting classes on the air. But
no, I just was I mean, we were talking about the free agency and Parsons and how he's a lot like he was that night.
Yeah, just kind of that's just who he is.
Just casual.
Which there's a part of me that appreciates.
Me too.
Like just kind of this is who I am, like take it or leave it.
I mean, you listen to his podcast, that's definitely the dude that was sleeping in the players' lounge.
It wasn't Tilford, was it?
Doesn't sound right.
Scotty Young Jr.
Nope.
Reddy Short.
Nope.
Malik Houseman.
Nope.
Tony Fields. Tony Wallace. Drew Dixon.
It's DB.
Xavier Bell. Troy Young.
Damn it.
Gary Brightwell.
Somebody will know.
That's all I got.
That's fine. So I need to finish up. I need to finish up with what happens with free agency before I allow myself to be able. Oh, now they're talking about DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah,
that I'm telling you, like these guys are like going back and forth now.
Yeah,
over a Super Bowl comment.
I mean, listen, some people.
Parsons is wild though. He called that dude a clown.
I'm sure this would shock you, DB. Some people stay a little petty. I don't know if you know anybody like that, but sometimes Especially because I almost wonder if there's like a pre-existing beef there. You know what I mean? That hasn't been public. That sort of just riled things up a little bit. Like Buki Riley riled those things up a little bit. You know.
He's coaching somewhere now, and I can't remember where. Did he go back to Oklahoma?
Buki?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look him up. I can't find. I was trying to find him.
So they extended Turpin. They extended Osa. They signed Solomon Thomas. Signed Robert Jones. They got Javonte Williams. I still don't know what Dallas is doing. But, while I'm at it, you know who we should have saved to talk to till the end of the week?
Who?
Shafe's Vikings look good.
Yeah.
If McCarthy's worth a darn, that's a good football team.
That's the $1 million question, though. Is McCarthy?
He'll be fine.
You like Kevin O'Connor that much?
Yeah.
O'Connell?
Well, remember, I'm the lone J.J. McCarthy guy, too.
That's true. I wouldn't say lone.
I mean,
yeah, that's a grown-ass
so
man right
prior to preseason last year, I'd say lone.
Yeah.
Preseason, people are like, oh, he might be all right. And then, he gets hurt or whatever. But you're a big KOC guy, too. So
100%.
The combo factor, I think.
That is a well-coached division.
Yes, 100%.
Now, we'll see what happens with BJ, but.
Because you got LaFleur, KOC, Campbell. We don't really know what's going on with Chicago yet.
It's Ben Johnson, right?
Yeah, but we don't know if he's.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know what's going on with BJ yet.
Yeah.
I should have said Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. Sorry, that's my bad.
Ben Johnson.
Ben
Johnson.
Not the guy that got fired from Minnesota?
No, but wow, they dropped that hook in a hurry.
I mean, they're not playing around.
See, and then people go, oh, in Nebraska, we did.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I mean, I was going to go North Carolina on you, but.
Yeah, well, you started out that way. Flipping killed my vibe.
I can't believe that Bobby Hurley still has a job.
Yeah, bringing him back.
We're bringing it
Look
back.
at it. So do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
And when you Google Bobby Hurley, look at the record over the last 3 years. And it's Arizona State, mind you. Right? I don't know what kind of basketball program it should be.
It's probably better than this.
But I mean, it's been tough sledding.
He's had a lot of bad years. He's been there for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
Started in 15-16. He had a little decent run from 17 to 20.
Remember, he kept turning over the backcourt like he was swapped. Yeah.
And that's where we got the great Alonzo Verge was from, Arizona State.
You're such a hater. All comes back to Nebraska basketball.
Alonzo Verge still has one of the strangest lines I've ever seen in my life. That random 40-point game he had at Arizona State is one of the strangest lines I've ever seen in my life. But so in the last 5 years, 13 wins, 14 wins, 23 wins, 14 wins, 11 wins. He's been below 500 for the last 5 years.
Interesting. You see Dad in the arena last night to see his other son?
Well, yeah, he's the other Hurley. I don't know if you heard this. That's the reason he's such a D-bag, is because Dad was mean to him.
Wow.
Allegedly. That's, although it seems like Richard Pitino's dad seems also like kind of a prick, and Richard Pitino kind of went the other way.
He turned out all right.
He's like, well, maybe I don't want to be like that guy. It's weird. Not necessarily going to blame Bob Hurley on Danny's issues, but I don't know.
Wounds of the father, my man. It's a real thing.
I understand that, but you could go the other way, too. Like, you do have choices in life.
Oh, man.
Let's talk to our guy, Mike Sautter, coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps. Mike, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just in one of these back rooms in PBA, trying to be quiet just for you guys.
Jerome, you practically run that place underneath the little tunnelway. Like, are you in the little side portion of the media room? Or no, because that's not quiet enough.
Nah, this is back in the back hallways where, like, I've never been before, actually.
What were you doing? Well, don't give me the whole eyebrow thing. That was kind of weird. Like, wow. Let's not do that. It's kind of the willies.
No, it's in the back, like where the dressing rooms are for like to be honest, I don't want to touch this, but like there's a I want a fake eyelash in here and stuff. Like there's makeup on the.
That's not good.
Kind of gross.
That's how the folks are doing it down there before game time.
No,
maybe it was before a performance.
Yeah, this is like in the where the like, yeah. You would know where I'm at if you were here.
Yeah, like the bowels of the stadium, Jerome.
Yes, this is very bowelsy. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Damon.
Hey, Jerome. What's up?
How's Aaron Rodgers?
You're so childish. You see how he said it like a 4-year-old. Hey, Damon. You never even called me that. I knew it was a setup.
You gave him the eyebrow.
I knew it was a setup.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with that guy.
We'll win more than 5 games like you guys.
Well, yeah, because you have a good coach.
Hey, I'm not here for Robert Saleh slander.
No, I like Robert Saleh. I do. But like he got walked on, and that's because we have a bad owner and all that.
It's just a poverty franchise. I wouldn't worry about it.
Are you happy?
You're about to find out about poverty, losing the 900 players you lost. So you go.
Wow.
Hostile.
Just came in firing this morning.
Just shots today. Yeah.
What does it have to? What is it stemming from? Like, it was decent basketball. There were a couple competitive games yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple. There were 2 wild endings.
Day 1, but still not.
There were 2 ridiculously wild endings. Obviously, the Barrett Boesinger shot was nuts. But that goes back to one of those things. Like people will forget about McCoy Folkerts hitting 2 threes before that actually kept them even remotely close to having a chance to hit a 70-foot shot to win the game.
Live had it. I know that.
Yeah. So like you look at that game, and Pius executed their game plan extremely well. Diamond and 1, switching sometimes to 2-3. They really took Boesinger out of the game, the entire game, with the diamond and 1. And it's just ridiculous that that shot went in, and Pius went 1 of 6 from the free throw line in the last 30 seconds. If they go 2 of 6, they win the game. So obviously that last 30 seconds or that shot that's going to live in infamy, go down forever, right? In one of those conversations, but it's a good game. Now you have, what some people would consider the Class B 2 best teams. Yeah, de facto state championship game tonight, and Scott and Norris are the 2 best teams or whatever. So I don't know. Elkhorn North played pretty well last night, and Scottsbluff has an absolute dog in Nate Kelly. I mean, that dude, what he did last night was
nobody happier than our very own Jacob Padilla.
Oh yeah, he's his #1 fan for sure. No question about it. So
it's interesting. I want to go back to yesterday with kind of what Donovan Trump, or day before, with what Donovan Trumbull was able to do against Ogallala. And I get Ogallala's injuries, right, with Sawyer Smith. And but I'm kind of texting you real time, and you're working. I'm not. Like, I'm watching, so it's easy to just fire off stuff. But when you look at how they're built going forward against Concordia, do you like that matchup?
For Donovan Trumbull? Yeah, I think they got a shot. Here's the thing. Donovan Trumbull was like beginning of the year was like, oh, in C1 they're gonna be, they're one of the best teams, they're top, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be. And then they got injured, like a little bit of that football hangover too, and then had some injuries they had to fight through. I'm happy for Kellen Bird, their head coach. He's like the nicest human, and so he's done a good job. And I like the matchup from the standpoint of they probably have a little more athleticism, but Concordia also has like been there in these big moments. And I think that's something we'll see today in particular, of like the teams that have kind of been there and done that with their coaching staffs and players.
We saw it with Millard North a little bit, right? I think they're bothered Bellevue West, kind of some of those guys in young spots.
Yeah, and I mean, while you're on it, that's one of those things today. Like Millard North, and I people ask me early this week, when I'd see them in person or whatever. Shoot, even when I was in Sioux Falls, people asked me about it on Sunday night, like, who's going to win Class A? I'm like, man, I don't know. It's pretty wide open. But then I was like, gun to my head, if I had to choose somebody, probably go with Millard North, maybe.
That's what I said.
Like,
I'll on it. It's hard, but if I have to choose, I mean, it's not like the coaches are going to be mad at me. I mean,
no,
I love them all, but I would, because I think when they're playing their best, they're the most diversified.
And the experience of being in their best players have the experience of big moments, big games. They also know, like, hey, the bus needs to leave at this time. We need to be on the court by this time. They've gone through all of that before. And there's something to be said for that. And Derek Rollins, their best player, has played in how many state championship games? Oh, I don't know, 4?
So do you
think three?
You think Amari guards? Would you let him guard Reese and try to be disruptive like he was with?
Yeah, Amari guarded. That was kind of Amari guarding Robbie Garcia the other night was something. Changed the game.
That had my whole attention. He's just getting under him the whole time. I'm like, he's a tough kid.
And they use some quickness and stuff on Robbie that they used, and not the length and all that. So I will tell you this: Bryson Ball won't be guarded by Derek Rollins. So I don't know what they do. I think Derek's probably gonna, on the defensive end, have Beckenauer or something like that. It's also one of those things like, remember the Metro tournament final? Like Levi Webb was the guy, right, in that game. So not only do you have Reese and Bryson, those two get all the attention, and they rightfully so, right? They're seniors, and they've been with Coach Heiser for all 4 years and played varsity and been great. But the other guys like a Beckenauer or Levi Webb, or like you could keep going. They need big contributions. When I say big, 5 to 12 points maybe, or 5 rebounds or something from those guys tonight. And Millard North they kind of are a roller coaster a little bit, and they need to just ride the wave and not get too down.
We saw that the other day when Major got going. Mm-hmm. It's like,
yeah. If he can make shots, if Major's making shots like that, and then everyone else can kind of just.
I think for them though, you know what I think it is? It's their shot selection, because sometimes. In particular, like sometimes they settle for too many jump shots.
Yeah, and Corian needs to get going a little bit too, and he's done a nice job of adjusting, right? Like, because at Fremont he was just taking whatever he wanted, like just doing whatever, and now he's turned more into a point guard. So that changes a little bit for Millard North. But I'm fascinated by that game because in my opinion, and I've said this for 3 years now, like the best player in the 2025 class is Bryson Ball. And like, I will stand on the table for that for a long time. And was so efficient the other day. It was unbelievable. Like, he had an unbelievable game. So we'll see. Like, can he, not let the moment be too big, or his teammates not let the moment be too big? One thing Reese Kircher had 5 assists in the first 5 minutes of the game the other day.
That's why. So I'm looking again. I know it's a team. This is me coaching, taking like what I would do. I would really try to neutralize Kircher's effectiveness, because when he's going and distributing, he's so free flowing. He's just a natural. Mm-hmm. Like if you let him settle in, man, they are tough. Ball's gonna get his, is what I'm saying. Kircher's like snake.
He needs to continue. There was a couple of times like where he gets to the paint and made the wrong decision, but like for the most part this year, he's made great decisions. So in that moment, and he's turned himself into more of a true point guard. So that one, that Class A game is going to be pretty good. Tonight and even tomorrow, I think, is going to be pretty exciting. Just knowing that, like, you can make a case for any of these 4 teams in the Class A semis tonight to win it.
So let's talk about. Let's go to West Side and Southeast. West Side's one of those teams I probably know too much about, so I don't really ever give them their credit. But what they've been able to overcome, in my opinion, is, that's an interesting team to be as successful as they've been. But when you look at it, this is where they're supposed to be, right? Top 1, 2, 3, 4 all year, semifinals. Now it's kind of like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, and Southeast is the kind of like, not plucky underdog or anything like that, because they've been top 10 all year too. But at the beginning of the year, they weren't expected to be here. Southeast, maybe internally they were. And I will tell you, like, the coaching job that Southeast did the other night was pretty good. Like, it was really good. So, and for them, Southeast did not make a field goal in the fourth quarter and came back by double digits to win the game. How? That's incredible. In high school basketball, that's nuts.
Austin shot his shot early. He called it like 7:04. He reminded us that Southeast can't let that happen if they want to win today. So I told him, it's a good chance you're probably right, Austin.
West Side's thing is, again, like, so, whoa, the light just went out in here. Oh, man, I look creepy. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to turn the light back on.
Got a little Blair Witch thing going on there, bud.
Man, it was all that goofy look he gave me, man.
It's the eyebrows.
Yeah, like he'd do something bad. 35.
All right. That was crazy. So, no, West Side. That was what we were talking about? Yes. Lineup changes, right? Snotty the other day played a lot, and I think that was just matchup, right? Like, wanted to slow down the Twins a little bit more, a little bit.
Pretty proud of his evolution in his high school career. I'm cheering for Snotty.
And Oddvity might not be fully healthy, right? A little bit. So that's something there. But listen, West Side said it all year, since the beginning of the year, all that. They're the one team that looks like a small college team when they get off the bus. So
they got get it going in the opener.
Yeah, Emory was great. Lee was fine. Maturity stuff there still needs to probably be a little better.
Have hands full with Nagoya though.
Yeah, Mikey's good. So who guards him?
He's crap. You got to keep Lee out of foul trouble.
Right. So is it Snotty or somebody else that guards him? Now Westside has plenty of options. Like their options are pretty, pretty good. So you have some length and athleticism there. So, and London Dada needs to hit some shots here. I need some validation. I need some validation.
His minutes have been interesting, though. You just kind of never know when he's going to get good, like chunky minutes. I think he can be a microwave, but flow of the game would serve him well too.
Yeah, I need some validation there because I may or may not have told his dad a little over a year ago that, like, man, that kid is going to be the guy. Like, it just isn't yet. Just hang in there. He's going to be pretty good. And so I need him to validate that for me. So I'm right.
You more comfortable capping
B?
You're more comfortable capping Norris and Scott or Millard North and Papio South?
Norris and Scott, Class B. I'm more comfortable capping Class B for sure.
Even though that's the consensus is where I was going with this. I think both those games, I think a lot of people think that those are the two best teams. And this, again, I get Westside. But Westside always gets the but Papio South and Millard North don't.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense. At least that's what I hear. Yeah, but and maybe that's just because they know I'm a Westside guy, but whatever.
Yeah, I will say this. Before the season started, even during football season, I'd be on the football field. People were like, oh, what's your top 5 or whatever? I said, well, my personal one to start the year, I'm like Millard North 1, Westside 2. And people were like, Westside 2, what? They lost everybody. I'm like, no, Westside number 2. So, like, that was my start. And Papio South was in that discussion. Like, it's probably one of, and then after that, it's a group of, I thought Papio South, Kearney, and Prep in that next group.
I was on the Kearney train.
Yeah, I was in that. That was in my next, like, group. But I did say Westside 2, Millard North 1 at the very beginning of the year. So, or before the season started, before I even went to a practice or anything. So, but I will say B is a little easier to cap. Like, how does Norris respond after that yesterday? Like the emotion and all of that. Now, they're lucky that game's at night tonight and not in the middle of the afternoon because you have a little bit more time. I will say this. I have said Scott is the best team in Class B. I will stand on that, I guess, and not defer from that. I said it at the beginning of the year before the season started, so I'm going to continue to say that. I just think their matchups are too tough for the rest of Class B. I just do. Unless Elkhorn North can beat Scotts Bluff tonight, maybe Elkhorn North can hang in there because you have Sutton and then Jace. Like, Jace Reynolds is a tough I almost said the MFer word. But he's a tough kid, and he showed that a little bit last night. So, yeah.
So speaking of Scotts Bluff,
what? Why'd you say it like he was what?
No, I said I was gonna say he's a tough mother, and I decided I didn't want to do that today. I want to be a little more professional.
Look at that. Turning over a new leaf for
growing up right before our very
Michael
eyes.
Jerome Sautter.
Shit.
And we're back. So Elkhorn North and Scotts Bluff. How I know all the attention is going on that Scott and Norris game, but you mentioned Elkhorn North there and how they might be kind of the best matchup against Scott. Are they a good enough matchup against Scotts Bluff though to get there?
Yeah, well, Nike Orgeable is going to have a pretty big game defensively. Someone's got to have to guard Nate Kelly. And I'm trying to think who is that going to be? How are they going to do it? I will say this. Yesterday, I was very impressed with Elkhorn North and defending the rim with verticality or defending, the post with straight up verticality. And sometimes they're like, all right, man, it's not worth getting a foul. You can have it. So kind of run out, layup, things like that. And they've made pretty good decisions. So the guy that stirs that for them, I think, is Kellen Murphy and his ability to stretch the floor and hit threes. He
unclogs that thing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you can run him off screens and do all of those things. Sutton Piakowski obviously has been really good for them. So that's why I'm I I could see Elko North doing it. And I am more than happy for Andy King, who is one of the nicest humans there is. And I've known Andy for a long time, consider him a friend. And I'm happy for him professionally, if you know what I mean by that. So, because I think there was a little undue expectations because the girls at Elkhorn North had a phenom that would have won multiple state championships at any high school in the country. So I think the expectations outside of the building were probably a little too high for a school that's now in their 5th year. So he's done a really good job building the program. Really good job. So it's, yeah.
I can't believe it's only 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
It does seem like more than that, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let me ask you about what you think you're going to get from a team in Creighton that had to log heavy, extended, emotional minutes.
Well, I think they'll probably show up tonight a lot more ready out of the gate, if you will. The matchup's probably a little better for them too, right? Because DePaul is just firing away threes and stuff. So I think they'll be fine. I think there's that UConn not best friends part of it that will.
I was watching and I would love to be a fly on the wall to just hear like the little run bys between he and Ashworth, because Ashworth low key runs it.
Oh yeah,
and Neely is. I mean, I was like, gosh, get the camera off him. He's just cussing his brains out.
Great AD and Blandino.
Oh
Liam
man, this no love lost tonight. It'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, and I do. I think that they'll play a little better, obviously, but quick turnaround a little bit. Well, for both teams, but there just is not. Man, they don't like each other, right? Like the fan bases and all that.
It's actually a little worse for UConn, right? Because they played the late game at least
right.
2 extra hours, even though they played the
double
OT.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how about Ty Davis though? Like, good for that dude. Like he stepped up.
What?
Right?
Nothing.
What are you making that face for?
I just think he has to. Just defensively, Max is going to have to work around it.
I'm just saying he stepped up last night when the team needed him. And for the future, right? Like,
and made a free throw.
At several.
I think 3.
4. He went 4 for 4 down the stretch to. His last 2 trips, we went 4 for 4.
Hey, what does the future of Nebraska basketball look like? You got an hour? Talk about that.
What do you think it looks like?
Oh, sure.
Well, I wish that they weren't having to go to whatever the hell the Crown thing is in Las Vegas. Just end it, right? Just like, nope, we're good. Don't want to go. But they're going to have to go to that. So, because contractual obligations. I think there could be some reshuffling, and it would be good for them from a how do I say this? From a
staff together,
a staff responsibility or staff reshuffling would probably be good. Obviously, the roster is going to change a lot just because you have 6 seniors. Can they upgrade the point guard position? Absolutely, 100%. And frankly, like JJ White is better than Aaron Eulis today and yesterday and probably a year ago.
Guy I was having a lot of conversations with 2 days ago.
So you have, that guy's right down the road and he's going to have another year. I will say this. The one thing for me is the recruiting structure needs fixed.
That's the holistic thing I think needs changed.
The recruiting structure needs fixed. What I mean by that is, and I do not understand how this happens at division high major schools across the country. Like, how does the one assistant coach not know what the other assistant coach is doing, and the recruiting coordinator by name only doesn't know whose guy is who or whatever? Oh, that's his guy and that's his guy and he's recruiting that guy. Shouldn't they all be cohesive and working together? Like, what is going on? Like, why is it like, oh, I don't know, because that's this person and that's this person's got what? Like, shouldn't you know? And that happens not just at Nebraska, it happens everywhere. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. So I like maybe let your recruiting coordinator be the recruiting coordinator a little bit more. There's stuff like that. Now, Fred is great. Like, I think Fred, great human being. I have a good relationship with Fred Hoiberg. I like Nate Lenzer, all the staff, all those guys. I'm not saying anyone should be fired, to be honest. I just think there should be some changes, reshuffling. There might be some moves that can happen. I do 100% like the NIL conversation. Okay. Yes, probably could do a little more there, which they're going to do a little more there. And they're going to have a little bit of the revenue share piece too. So,
but that's not it though, right? That's what
I don't think that's
again,
it.
I don't know where that came from. It was really pissing me off.
Can I ask you in just a couple minutes left here, but
you got as long as you want, Ravi.
I know, but I just don't want to keep that. He's got stuff to do. Do you feel confidently when you watch this team, you know what they're trying to do?
Well, with this roster this year, no, not so much. But last year I felt pretty good about it. Like, I will say this too. If Rink Mass is healthy and playing, one, you don't have Braxton Mia because you don't need to go get him late. And two, they win at least 4 more games with Rink Mass on the floor.
So let me follow it up with this question then. How sustainable do you think it is to try and run a college basketball team by needing a point center to make it work? Because Rink has a unique skill set, right? Like
yeah. And I think they thought that that's what Andrew Morgan was going to be a little bit, which not. And then Verghese, I think they tried to make him into that a little bit. He's got such a long way to go. Like, from a body language standpoint and making good decisions on the basketball court standpoint, he's got a long way to go. So I don't know how sustainable it is, to answer your question, but it should be kind of, aren't we in the position list? Are we back to having positions now, or are we still in positionless basketball?
Well, that's why I kind of asked you if you knew what they were trying to do.
I don't.
Because the answer to the question, right? Like that's
yeah.
If I don't know what they're trying to do, then I don't know what they need. It's nice to have a point guard that's better than Ulis or Wooster, but like I don't know what they need if I don't know what they're trying to do.
I think they're trying to adjust to what they got every year, like the roster, right? Like
that's a tough way to live.
Yeah, it's a real tough way to live. It's like, hey, we're gonna go get whatever guys we can get, and then we'll figure it out. Versus, does that person fit what we want to do? Like, Braxton Mia does not fit at all what we're trying to do. But they had to take a flyer. They had to take him. Like, they had to take somebody. Right? Goodness gracious, with the lights. So, yeah. This is wild. All right. There we go.
The thing that I think is we're going to end up talking a lot about, whether it's in the offseason or when we get to next year, is do we know what they're trying to do? Do they know what they're trying to do? Did they get the guys that can do that? Because that, to me, I know what they were trying to do last year, but last year was different than the year before, was different than the year before, was different than this year. Like, it seems a lot of what they've tried to do is just get the best guys they can and figure it out from there. And I don't know, I think that's why you end up with the level of inconsistency that Nebraska's had.
Yeah, I think you just get guys that are in your system, whatever. Now, they also aren't they don't like overpaying either. Like,
it's an athletic department thing. It's like just like Nebraska football. They can spend if they want to, but they're going to spend wisely.
Right. They don't want to go be like, oh yeah, we can get this guy for $1 million or whatever the number is. But they're like, well, why would we do that when we can go get 2 guys that aren't maybe quite as good, that maybe kind of, rotational guys, and we can figure it out for, 2 for the price of 1 type of thing. So maybe that's a little bit. Like that's what seems to be a little bit of where it's at. So I will, I guess we can end on this. We can talk about it a lot, going forward. But I do feel bad about Bryce Williams in kind of a, you don't want to say a lost season because he was first team all Big Ten and he's great and had huge moments in that. But it's like, man, like him and Juwan. Juwan was pretty good now. Like, I mean, he was very good for those two guys coming back, and it just like you don't even make the Big Ten tournament, and those guys came back for that reason, and like to win, to make it to the NCAA tournament again, and it just didn't. Like it just didn't figure out, and it all kind of hinged on the rink mass injury late. Like it was a late summer like thing where he was out, and I think they kind of knew that there was a possibility of that, but I think that
we're going to take it to the wire to explore the surgical options, though.
Right? Yeah. So it just, I don't know. Like, and then you just struck out on the 2 point guards that you had. You really did. Like you can be better there. Could have been better there. Riley Wooster is a great human being, but just probably wasn't ready for that level. Like you can get a little more athleticism there too, right? Now, in the future, what does it look like? Well, you obviously have to get 2 point guards, a center, and a power forward or like wing guy, and you need just a bucket getter. So like
positions, Mike. That's all of them.
Yes, basically every position. You basically need 6 guys.
The whole roster. Just need a whole new roster.
But I don't know. They like Braden Freger. They think he's going to help out. They like Nick Janowski, who I saw in with my own 2 eyes play a high school game, and I thought he was phenomenal in that high school game. But does he have the lateral quickness stuff to kind of? And how big of a step can Connor Essegian take? And how big of a step can Berke Buchengel take if he is back on the roster?
Good questions. Mike, enjoy the day. Enjoy the rest of the state tournament. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, Damon.
Hey, Jerome.
See you later.
Wow.
That's Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports, NAB Preps. We'll be back.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we're presented by our friends at Centris Federal Credit Union. Make sure you get to centrisfcu.org and check out everything they've got to offer, whether it's checking and savings, auto loans, mortgages, home equity, or financial counseling. They've got you covered. It's about community at Centris, not just about being a financial institution. Make sure you check them out, centrisfcu.org. They're an equal housing lender and federally insured by NCUA. DB.
Yes.
A lot of games today.
Yeah, there actually are. Well, you want to answer Heath's question? Because I don't know. I don't think they're going to start him, but Heath has a question for you.
I don't think so. I did like that they started him in overtime.
Yeah.
I thought that was wise. I'd be surprised if they make a change at this point in terms of the starting lineup. I do think, it was kind of weird. In some previous games, we'd seen him earlier. We'd seen him off the bench a little quicker. I thought it was odd that wasn't the case last night, really.
Maybe with the guards that
sure
you kind of play tonight would be more of a matchup thing.
Yeah, and, because you can.
That's so. I mean,
he fits a little bit better on a Caravan and on a McNeely than he does on some other guys. So I could definitely understand that. I think for me personally, and I understand the defensive questions and things like that, I think we should be past the point of it being a matchup thing with Zugic.
I made Debo mad. Let's not expound on that.
No, I just I mean, you brought it up with Zugic before, right? When we were talking about him.
Because I think that's the thing for Mac. He's always going to weigh the risk reward.
I understand
and
that.
It typically starts with defense.
Here's the problem that with Zugic specifically, not as much Ty Davis, because if Ashworth doesn't foul out, Ty Davis doesn't play, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the deal. But with Zugic, the problem is for some reason Mac has a blind spot for some of the other guys' defensive deficiencies. Like Mason Miller's defensive problems are just as bad, if not worse, than Fedor Zugic's. I will die on that hill. There's times where that dude just gets blown by and doesn't even provide any resistance. And he doesn't have the upside that Zugic does on the other end of the court. So I understand what you're saying, and it's true, but he tends
No, I'm not down on playing him. I'm just telling you what.
No, I understand what the holdup is, but I think the holdup is based on a blind spot for Mac, not on the actual what's happening on the court. That would be my argument. I don't think they're going to change the starting lineup, Heath. I do think we should see extended Fedor minutes as opposed to what we saw yesterday.
See if you can ride the – if he would have made that three.
Oh, I'd have lost my mind.
Oh, I know. I was like, if that goes in, this group chat is going to go
I was so good
bananas.
on the group chat yesterday.
It was good because you know why, though? I think you were waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I was.
Because you've gotten yourself there before when he's had some good stretches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's chilling this time.
He had a good stretch yesterday, though. He had the 2 threes. He had a layup. He had that big dunk to start overtime. Like, he had a good day yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a good day. And, again.
The best play he made is the one you didn't talk about, though. The offensive rebound.
Yes. Offensive rebound was incredible.
I mean, that was huge.
It was a huge one. Ty Davis had a huge offensive rebound as well. But I will, again, the best thing
that's where if you're DePaul and you just get out hustled like that, it's like,
come on, man.
Right. After you had fought.
You've hit some miracle shots. You stayed in this thing. You blew a huge lead. You came back.
He had his hands on his knees, and Davis secures it, and his head just goes down. I was like, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what makes it a weird game.
And I will say, though, the best thing that Zugic does, that dude is the only guy that can get Ryan Kalkbrenner the ball in the post consistently. He's the only one.
I remember we heard it on the broadcast 100 times.
Hey, post-entry passes. They're important. DB, you got any games you like today?
Yeah, I got a couple. Not a good day yesterday.
That's all right.
We got to bounce back.
We gotta reinvigorate our payroll here.
I like Wisconsin.
The Badgers?
Yep.
What's the line there?
It's 1.5.
I've got it at 1.5. They're a 1.5 point favorite against my Fighting Mick Cronin's. How dare you?
Money liner.
That is money line range. What else we got?
FAU.
Hey, FAU too, man.
What? Pardon?
I was making a joke there about how it sounded.
I don't know. That didn't sound very funny. Didn't sound very funny at all.
What does FAU got?
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
You like them as well?
Yeah. So you can enjoy, what is it? Whatever it is, you're $10-15 early, and then chill because they got they're laying a couple to Tulane Like the highway.
2-lane.
2-lane.
Like
According
life
to
is a highway.
like according to Severe, that's the proper way to say it.
2-lane.
2-lane.
Like
it's not Tulane. It's
Duval. 2-lane.
Oh shoot! I can't tell which is which now.
I know.
Is that pretty good?
Duval. I'm Liam Cohen.
That's kind of weird. Kind of weird.
All right, FAU and Wisconsin. Those are our winners today.
C.
We're riding a little light today.
You can't. Don't force it.
I know. I'm sad.
You're just trying to stack winning days.
Follow the formula.
Yeah.
3.5. You like him at 3.5? FAU. All right. Against Tulane.
Lay it. Don't spray it.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to our guy Matt Vrzal, and we will wrap up the week, wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at. Telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
We're back wrapping up the show and wrapping up the week as we always do here on Hurrdat Sports Live with our friend Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. What's up, Verse?
What's up, fuckers?
What's with the whole everybody doing the eyebrows thing?
What eyebrows thing?
Well, he just did the same thing that Sautter did when he was giving me the googly eye. He's not going to do it now, but Matt, I didn't realize you were doing back-to-back radio hits. How do you feel about that? Are we
Friday? It's just normal Friday.
Not stretching.
You know that.
You don't know what I know.
And then I called you back, I waited till you went to break and called you.
Right? So don't start by telling me what I know. We ain't gonna get off on a good start if that's the here. See, look at him. He's mad.
You're already on this BS, huh?
We go.
Don't tell me what I know.
See, you get bitch slapped, and then it'll be somebody else's fault.
Yeah, we're getting close to a cuss word. Hey, baby, pack a lunch. because it'll take all day.
I'm not even trying to hear that because you already know what time it is.
Hey, I was so proud of you. I was so proud of you.
Crackers. That's the only lunch.
The other night, I was so proud of you. You came and you sat in a restaurant where there was a bunch of people, and you had fun.
It was okay.
You had fun. Don't lie.
I like.
You smiled for a good, solid 20 minutes.
I like Creighton and I like Gordo, so it was good. That was fine. And the other time, I'm talking to you and your crazy bartender.
But you had fun.
He was all right.
Hey, man, that's your alumni base.
I understand.
Huskies for life. Why are you so crabby this morning? Westside played basketball today?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not that crabby, am I?
Got to defend IMG North.
Was that funny, Shane? Was that funny?
Well, maybe.
Thank you, Shaner.
Taking shots out here.
It's an idiot.
Hey, what time are you going down today?
I don't know. I'd like to sneak over to the there's a little 2-day sale over at a grocery store where I can take advantage of some shopping, but I don't know. Maybe depends on if I can get Breeze out of school. Maybe 1.
If you can get him out of school.
Well, I'd like to get my hair cut. It's been 2 weeks and I look horrible. So that's probably what's really making me mad.
I got clippers.
No, you don't.
Come on over.
You're not doing
I'll fade you up tight and right. Hit you with the spice ball, you'll be good.
The what?
The spice ball, like those videos I send you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not doing that.
Oh, yeah, I am.
There's not a chance that's happening.
I got a barber chair in here now. I'm ready for you.
So I meant to do that the other day when I was waiting. And by the way, I appreciate you getting that keto bowl, kind of sliding that in late. That thing was dense.
Yeah.
So, I brought it back to temp.
In an oven?
Yep. 200 real slow. I didn't know if that lid would hold up, but I kept it on anyway.
I would have personally taken the oven off. I think it would have eliminated some time. But
should I have done that? Well, I was trying to, steam it from, not steam it. I was trying to whatever from the, he's like, nah, take it off.
No, not how it works.
All right. Do you know what it really was though? The foil it was bent. It's slotted so perfectly. It's in a disposable foil deal with a little circle. And the time it takes to bend the foil around the edges to secure it, I just kind of didn't want to undo. Who has the patience for that? You do that every time on those deals?
Yeah, on the ones to go because you want them to stay hot.
Yeah, I don't know about that customer service thing.
It was great.
No, it was. I knew when I picked it up, it felt like about a 4-pounder.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I appreciate that.
Well, I did. After you were getting all Paul Bissonnette high maintenance with your wing order, I was like, I forgot about it. I'll be honest with you. So I just made another one.
Okay.
And I know you sell wings in 20, but can I get 17 and a half of them this way?
Whose voice is that?
Like this? Yours.
Whose voice is that?
Help me. I was like, listen, I'm just going to make you a large order. I'll buy you 5 more wings. Just let's not do this. Let's not dance this dance.
It's fine. I just keep telling myself that one more.
Hey, that was a good night. You got to see Murph. You got to see Gordo.
Murph is a gem.
Isn't he the best?
He is an absolute gem. He really is. I was, and Gordo's, they're always good, man. And congratulations to Tyson. Like, is that the job that he had always wanted? Coaching like that?
Oh, yeah. That part, yes.
Yeah.
Coaching and teaching, yeah. Yep, that was his. He's going to be good too. He'll be a good basketball, football coach, and I'm excited for him. He's excited, so that's fun to see.
Hey, what happens tonight against Norris? That should be a doozy, huh?
It'll be a good one.
Our guys were looking for Jergy to interview after the game yesterday. He disappeared. What's kind of his post routine after he wins? He just go hide somewhere in the arena or what?
Nah, he's watching film and
he's
wound. Oh yeah, he's wound up, but he's wound right now.
They won by 40. He could stop for 5 minutes and enjoy it.
No. You know
got-
better than that. That's why Juergens and I get along.
Yeah, he is.
It's like
yeah.
win next.
I think Norris.
It's going to be a go. Like Norris is going to want to get. Norris will take it out of the net. Like if you make one, your ass better be getting back because they're going to pull it out the net and they're going to chuck it down the court. They're going to go. And you know how it goes in tournaments. You get that one kind of nail biter, close one, and then you win it, and now you're kind of go, okay, we're back in it.
Yeah.
But then I don't think anybody thought Scott was going to come out and drop 71, but my boy DVD likes the bright lights. So
yeah, I'm a big Scholl guy. I think he's a stud.
He's a good player. Yeah, he's a good player.
Let me ask.
When he's on and he's aggressive, you got a different team.
Let me ask you about Coach Rule the other day. He's talking about the O-line and obviously what Lutovsky's going to be limited. We know what's going on with guys coming off injury with Teddy and Turner. And I don't know if anybody's holding their breath, but cautiously optimistic. One of the first guys he mentioned was Sledge and how Evans is working at center. And how do you kind of see the young guys shaking out as he kind of went through the laundry list?
He's pretty spot on. I think moving Evans Jenkins to center, who's kind of been that guy that's been your leader. Hopefully, I would like him to be more vocal, and call guys out, call them to the carpet, and those kind of things. You pick up experience at other positions on the thing, and Sledge is going to be good. I'll die on that hill. That's a hill I will go stand on. He will be good. It's just that transition of it. It's not as fast as everybody thinks it can be for everybody. And so as he continues to grow and continues to evolve, I think he's going to be the guy after Evans graduates. So you get old, and then you got a young leader that's still got a bunch of experience coming in after that. But how that 5, 6, 7 guys goes will be how their season goes. So if you want it, well, we can't watch them, but if you wanted to know or you wanted to watch them, that's what you're going to watch in the first game.
Sledge was the guy that you liked the most coming out of high school, that group, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Much like Juergens, the starting center for the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. I think once you got him to the right spot and you empowered him, which they did at the Eagles, and you see what he can do, he got on the job training. Like he was playing guard. Kelsey was playing center. Juergens was making the calls. Kelsey's basically like, you're in charge. I'm your tutor. If you get the wrong one, I'm gonna change it. So that kind of leadership in it. And then when you go watch him play, tell me the difference between how he and Kelsey play. Like there's not a lot of difference in it. Just a different number. He went from the Hoskinson 62 to the Vrzal 51. Which is an outstretching of my bounds, I know, but he pulls the same, he blocks the same, he does it right. And so I think that's what Sledge is. He's an athletic kid that started outside, and then he's just worked his way inside, which I think is a great fit for him. Got a great bloodline for it. His daddy's a monster, like just a great player, great dude.
Yeah.
If you ever see him, you can't not be happy. That guy's the best. But
still got just enough mean spirit in him too that makes you walk upright before you get your hug.
Oh yeah,
you don't get too squirrely. You make it.
Oh yeah. He tailgates next to my sister and brother-in-law. So the one time a year when I'm down there, I'll go say hello but no, he's a great dude. And it's always nice to be able to see the future plan. Sometimes we've been in the rut where it's like, well, we'll figure it out this year, and then next year we'll piece it all back together again. So good to see them building that depth on the lines.
Yeah, it was interesting how Coach Rule said it in the presser too. He's like, freshmen, you come in and get acclimated. You're lifting weights, you're getting bigger, stronger. Redshirt freshman year, you're continuing to grow and develop with the terminology in the program. Sophomore year, you're trying to contribute, right? This is kind of how we're trying to build this here. And it's been a while before somebody Somebody actually said that out loud, but I think he's trying to set the expectation for everybody, right? The players, the parents, the media. Like, this is how we would prefer to do it in this conference.
Absolutely. And that's, that's a big thing I think that maybe gets undersold is communicating the expectation to everyone and making sure everybody lives to the expectation. Everybody's rules inside the expectation aren't going to be the same, but everybody's expectation has to be the same. And I think that's a piece that when you see teams struggle and you see teams kind of lose close games, they don't all fully grasp or live the expectation.
Whereas we were talking earlier to our guy Tim, and I was kind of wondering what you think the value is of having a guy that can kind of flex between positions as sort of your 6th or 7th offensive lineman. Like, how useful is that to a line group?
Switch between positions like guard and tackle, or switch between positions like left guard and right guard?
Between guard and tackle, like having sort of a. You don't like that?
No. Nope.
Care to elaborate or?
Nope. It don't make no sense. Like get your core 5 and get a swing. Get a person that knows his left hand and his right hand. He plays left guard. He plays right guard. Get 2 tackles and swing. Like that's the easiest, simplest way to do it. It's stood the test of time. Now, if you're blessed and you have backups 2 deep at all of them, then just go. But there's like to go from guard to tackle. I don't like that move ever. There's a reason you're at guard. It's probably because your arms aren't long enough, air quote, to play tackle. Like, I think Dooney for the Chiefs did a great job as best he could in the Super Bowl, but you saw what that was like. Like Sweat had a day and then got paid.
Oh, half that D-line got paid.
Right?
Jeez.
But like, settle them into a spot, because even though they're 4 foot apart, they're 2 different worlds. They're 2 completely different worlds. At tackle, I'm on my own 99%, 95% of the time. Okay? At guard, I'm in a pinball machine. I'm bouncing guys off of other guys. I'm doing all this stuff. The footwork is different. You can learn it. But the technical aspects of it, in my mind, are different. That's why when Tooney was able to do that, you're kind of a freak show to be able to do something like that and do as well as he did for as long as he did. But I just don't understand why it's so hard to have 3 guards at a Division I Power 5 program and 3 tackles at a Division I Power 5 program.
Maddie, let me get you out of here on this. How interesting was it to hear Rocco Spindler talk about, I almost said Baldelli, Spindler talk about kind of, it's not always the best 5 individual in terms of what makes a good offensive line, but the ability to kind of think and dance together. Did that give you any insight other than what you already knew, given where he'd come from at Notre Dame?
No, it's the 5 that jive are the 5 you should play with. They may not be your prodigal son. They may not be the ones that you have. Like, the cohesion and the communication, like saying things without saying things, has to be there. And that's why those 2 swing guys are so important, because they have to be like, if you look at a guy that was great at it, Matt Hoskinson, he could walk in and no production dropped off. 4'8", 314 pounds, played fullback at Battle Creek. But he's a team guy. He's a smart guy, and he knew what everybody was doing. Okay, so now he's a valuable asset. So pushing the pace on the education piece of it, right? Get the brain to where the brain knows everything, and then just let the physical part of it be muscle memory. But you got to have those guys that when they come in, it doesn't drop off at all. It may not be your air quote best 5, but when they play together, it's your best unit. Like, that matters. That makes a difference. Just because you came in with stars doesn't mean you're a star.
Yeah, but you have to tinker with the movement a little bit too, don't you, to figure that out? Or do you just going by group work and kind of putting them together?
That's what practice is for.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you get I don't think 2 1v1 sessions for Nebraska football practice is too much. 2 15-play 1v1 sessions. And I give 5 to the guys that I think are right. I give 5 to the guys that I think are on the doorstep, right? So I might take out one piece, put in another piece. And I go 5 with the next rotation of that. And I see what I like best, and I see what works best. And I'm not telling you we're brother-in-law in these 15.
Mm-hmm.
These 15 have some weight. Somebody's going to get a punishment if they lose in this. Then the next set, I say, okay, we felt as coaches this second set of 5 worked the best. They're going to take the first 5 reps. Now I get another piece, another part in there, and away I go. But I can try these things in different methodologies during practice. And then we just go from there.
Verse, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the weekend and the state tournament. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk soon, Sunshine.
Yeah. Are you going to answer my call?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Are you got to do one of those bending bite things when we get done here?
Nope. Just going to say hi to my friend, and then I'll be on the move.
I'm your only friend.
Yeah. 1A. Thank you, buddy.
OF only. That's Verse.
See ya, fuckers.
Hey.
We'll be back on Monday. That's DBM, Ravi, Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports live on Monday.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.